Oh boy. I'm seriously about to be keeping my fingers crossed that my computer's not going to crash during this stream. Because I'm going to try to edit and stream at the same time. And my Asus laptop, it gets very hot. It currently is very hot. It's on a glass desk, so hopefully that'll help. But I'm worried. I'm worried about the strain that this is going to have on the poor computer, that it may in fact brick on me. So if this stream ends very suddenly, very early, that'll be why. Before I actually start editing, and as I wait for people to show up, just for you VOD viewers, I'm going to go ahead and debut a new song I've got that I wasn't sure if I wanted it to be the second single from my upcoming album, Ridiculously Adequate Performance, for which already there is the song, the legendary classic By Daybreak, that I listen to every morning as I slap 3 rappers by daybreak. This song, it's a very different vibe, so I wasn't sure if it should be the second song I released from the project, but I just like it so much, and it's gotten so wormed into my head, I need the world to know about it, particularly the second half of this. Anyway, I'm not going to spoil it too much. I've got the lyrics on screen so you can follow along. I'm going to mute my microphone so you can listen to this.
Here I find myself 100,000 times through realms of wonders parallel, compelled to spell 100,000 rhymes intertwined with entities everywhere and all in kind, weathering snare particulates that splinter off and through the air into the sky. Hi, my name is Beatrice and I am high. They call me Trixie Goldie Witch online and in line for the signing. Rhyming is a thing I do. I'm the YouTube streamer too, redeemer of the stolen youth, leading people like you into the boot. No voter, headshot, no joker, dead cops, no broker, dreadlocks, no poker face. I'm another race, an alien displaced from somewhere else, another place so far away, but not Australian or Welsh. My brother Shade, that's his real name, knows how to game and to excel. He produced half of Gay and Dead, Sarah Louise did half as well. Louise and Piers get down in Paris to the base swell. It'll be a cold day in hell before I face 1200K, that's a baseline take. Delve into my lore like it's Elden Ring. Pour into my brain with a drill bit ring. If you liked it, then you should have thought about it before he put a ring on it. No fling. Thinking of bingy bongy upon the beat. Do bongy wrist bodies and shiny flips. Roddy Rich putting the stick back in the box. Oxy music influence toxic. Britney Spears queer psychotic fearless psychic powerless. Another chick's rack giving hick rap bringing it back. Candy flip crash gish magician no pumpkin smash. The bumpkin raps the function slabs the gumption tracks debunk the whack the punk is back. Popularly played in your room like PlayStation, probably delayed in the gloom from creation, properly portrayed by a gloom incarnation, positively baked off the blooms in the basement, popping open cases of moonshine, I drank it, popping open flames under moonlight, I'm baking, popping open flames, gonna shoot like an aces, proper open range, thunder groove on the bass rip. Ask your mama if she fuck with it. Grab a partner when the touches it. Take a puff, no titty. Ain't a rush, just trip. No red, no mud, no drizzy, just missy in a blunt. I speak for a living, stunt for a hobby. Got some awesome memories in some hotel lobbies. Got some awful memories in some hotel parking. Got a lot of memories, yeah, I keep walking. Got a lot of petty beef, I still steal from Walmart. Dropped a lot of tracks for free, no appeal to all chop. Dropped a lot of racks on me, really got for restart. Probably never have money, I really for retail. dropped a lot of racks on weed, really got full restart. Probably never have money, I really went full retard. Had to redo that last bar. Hey. See, I'm the grown up version, so I'm allowed to say that. Like, I get to say faggot because I'm LGBT and T. But if you're not a retarded faggot, I really don't want to hear those words out of your mouth, alright? Those are our words, okay? Bye. Honey K, honey K. Honey K, honey K. Hey, listen. Hey. Hey.
There you go. That's 100K. Coming soon to an everywhere else near you. But since more people watch these live streams than click on my songs, I figure I might as well just debut the fucking thing here. And you can skip over it if you don't want to listen to it. Anyways, as always, here on the stream, I'll rant about anything anybody wants for super chats, interrupting my edit of this Jujutsu Kaisen versus Evangelion video that I'm going to be doing. You can all watch my incredibly shitty editing process. And you can give recommendations if you want. If there's anything you think I should do, you know, if you're like, hey, here's a good editing idea, let me know. And I'll do it. It says I only have 4 viewers, and there's 4 people in chat, so I assume that the 4 people in chat are the 4 viewers. I sound alright, right? Everything sounds good? Everything's working correctly? Because my Focusrite isn't even showing me a green light. Oh, there we go. Oh, hey, JNES, you're here. Perfect. I can actually, since nobody's here to watch me talk about Jujutsu Kaisen and Eva yet, instead, real quick, let's get this review out of the way. Because you paid me, and I checked it out. We can cut this later into a clip or something. 100. Oh, I didn't expect to open up the whole Crunchyroll page. I just want the image, god damn it. I hate the way Google changed the way images work. I want to click on it and get the pictures. Give me the picture. There we go. Image credit is Crunchyroll anyways. Alright, 100 girlfriends that really love you. JNES paid me a lot of money to watch the first 3 episodes of this show. I assume you like this show. My brother, Victor, really likes this show. And his wife, Hope, also likes this show. I know because I asked them during their stream. Like, I was like, Vic, you recommended this, right? JNES told me I gotta watch this show. And Vic and Hope both emphatically were like, it's great. So I'm sorry to say, I did not like anything about this show. I felt about this show similarly to how Kendrick Lamar feels about Drake. I meant to say, you know, when he said, "I hate the way you walk, the way you talk, I hate the way that you dress." This show, I hate the way it looks, I hate the way it sounds, and I hate the script. I didn't get it. I didn't get the appeal. I didn't get any enjoyment out of watching 3 episodes of this show. Well, you know, you say, Ellen's like, oh man, Trixie hated this anime. Who could have guessed? Well, I don't know. Victor loves it. Legitimately loves this show. He was like totally, like Victor had told me to watch this before I got paid to watch it. And Bird kept insisting that we have watched the first episode of this, that we did try to watch the first. I remember us trying to. I think maybe we skipped through it and just watched parts of it, and then I was like, no, I can't do it, because he seemed to remember what happened, and I could remember little bits. Like, as I watched the first episode, I was like, I'm sure I saw parts of this. So I'll get into what I don't like about it. First of all, the characters have no fucking personality whatsoever. These two in particular. The third episode actually has like a reverse problem of the first two episodes, which is it's weird. It's weird how different that episode feels from the first two. But they are all I hated them for different reasons. I'll put it that way. The first two episodes, these two girls are nothing burgers. Total nothing burgers. They look like porn characters, first of all. So my first thought is like, okay, these are like, this is already reading to me as hentai off the bat. So for me to feel this exists for a purpose other than masturbation, I need to really be sold that these are characters, that these are people I would care about. The artist made hentai doujins. That does not surprise me. It looks like it. Look at the girl on the right. Come on. She looks like any fucking porn character. And this is not, I'm not complaining. I don't dislike these character designs. It's just that to me, I look at this and I'm immediately like, well, this just seems like masturbation material. So like, what else is there to it? Because if it's not appealing to me personally, which it's not, like this is not something I would want to touch myself to, you know, didn't get any inkling, didn't even feel turned on watching this. Probably because the characters are high schoolers and they act like high schoolers. They have nothing going on in their lives other than one another. We don't even know anything about their fucking school habits. Like literally all we know about these characters is their feelings for one another and the goofy scenarios that play out of that, which are not funny. Not one thing made me smile, giggle, laugh. The closest I came, there's a moment when God is introduced and like his like wings come up out of the box and they do it in this really odd animation that I thought was kind of funny. And then in episode 2, there's a part where the principal is like this horrifying slender hag with like gigantic sagging tits and a huge afro, and she French kisses students who are like committing crimes or whatever by like shoving her tongue all the way down into their body. That whole scene, I was just agape. I was like, what the fuck is this doing in this show? And it's just like there for like a moment and then gone. And then it happens one more time in the episode and there you go. And I was like, all right. If all of it was like that high octane, I think I would have more fun with it. Like if it was constantly just fucking bonkers. But most of the time, it's like the lowest hanging fruit jokes imaginable. You know, what would be the conflicts between three people who, like, I mean, okay, so what makes the paradigm of this show not work, why I don't like the script, is that the characters can't fail in the relationship. Like, none of them, like, the narrative has basically locked them into a position where, according to God, girls immediately realize that someone is their true love when they lay eyes on them, and they'll basically do anything to make the relationship work. So these girls essentially will just create logic for why whatever's happening is fine, you know, why the relationship still works, because none of them will create a failure state. Like, it goes against the rules of the setting to fail. So, like, there's not really a reason for the characters to compromise other than that they are driven by compromise. Like, the plot is driven by, everyone is, like, innately driven to make compromise, even if it's at the cost of themselves, in favor of the relationship, you know? Which just means there's no conflict. Like, there's no sense of that it could go wrong. It just feels like it's always going to be about how it goes right. And, you know, with like a few steps of comical subversion in between that are not funny. None of the jokes are fucking funny. Not one single thing was funny in this fucking anime. I've seen a lot of anime of this ilk. I've seen plenty of funny shit. I think of what is it called? Ane-chan. What's the one where there's the scene where the guy like stops some muggers in an alley by like exploding off his clothes, and he's wearing like a bra and panties over being like mega jacked, and then he just starts pelvic thrusting towards the guys and just like chasing after them. It's the one where the girls have like little tanks on their heads for no reason. It's only like 30 minutes long. Plastic Nason. Thank you very much, Ellen. Plastic Nason. That show's fucking funny. And that's like two dumb high school girls doing fucking nothing bullshit, you know? Like, but it's funny nothing bullshit. And like everything this show does that gets really wacky is it's mostly... There's a lot of fourth wall breaking, a lot of like addressing the fact that it is an adaptation. Some of that was almost funny, but it just felt kind of out of place because it has nothing to do with the story, really. It's just like a personality quirk of the story, I guess. And then the there's just tons of references, like lots and lots of references that none of them are funny. It's just like, oh, that's like this thing, you know? Oh, you said it like that guy. And I'm like, okay, that's not really funny in context. It just kind of makes me go, huh, they referenced that? You know, like, huh. They put a reference to... I can't even remember any of the fucking references because none of it was funny, so none of it stuck with me. I just remember that there were lots of references that made me kind of go, oh, all right. But yeah, like... So the first two episodes is just these two nothing burger characters interacting with the main guy and his whole thing. So there's one moment in the first episode where I almost thought this character could be interesting. And I thought this might be why I was asked to talk about the show. From one trans girl to another. Because the main character, he like grew up with a constant desire to have a girlfriend, to be around girls, to just be surrounded by femininity. It's like an odd obsession, and he's just always been turned down up until this, I guess his fucking summer of love came and God accidentally blessed him with 100 girlfriends to be. And he's not allowed to turn any of them down or else they'll die. Like if he ever says, oh, I pick one over the other one dies. So even if he wanted to make things easy for himself and just pick one girlfriend, he has to figure out how to make all 100 of them his girlfriends, or else one of them's going to die. And he just loves women so fucking much. He's so preciously in love. He cannot possibly let any harm come to any of them. So I understand how that's a likable trait for his character. I get why that could be something. I mean, I don't know. I don't feel like it's a stretch for anybody to feel that way. You're going to get hit with ads for some viewers in like 1 second. And there's the ad break. But I have no idea how many people it does that to. There's only 24 viewers. Like, how many people get disrupted? Do you have ad blocker? Does it work if you're on... Does it do anything if you're on Brave? That's what I use. You like Neptunia dialogue? I have never even tried to play those games. Yeah, so I might be thinking of like some kind of Azur Lane spin-off anime. Oh, you're talking to somebody else. Sorry. Got distracted by chat. Anyway, the first two episodes of this show. Right, I was saying that he, because he can't let any of them die, he's always put into the scenario of, okay, how do we make it work? But all of them are also always in the mindset of how do we make it work? That's the part that breaks the show for me. Like, he never has to deal with their emotions seriously because they are always inclined to make it work out, because they're just like driven primally by the desire to make it work out. And that's what makes it feel kind of, I don't know. It feels like the rules of the plot make it impossible for there to be drama, and I'm sure there must be at some point, but so the third episode, getting into Book Lolly. I was talking about why I think the main character had some trans attributes, like how I related to him in that sense, like because he when he finally gets surrounded by two girls, the first thing he says is that he feels like he's going to be transformed into a girl by being next to them. And that was a really interesting thing to me, because I feel like, you know, when I was in high school and really struggling with identity issues, I didn't know where to place myself, because like I didn't know how to hang out with girls or talk to girls, and I still felt sexually attracted to them, so I didn't feel like I could just, you know, be friends like that. But also felt like being around guys kept me from being able to express myself the way I would naturally, you know? So it made me want to be around girls in the sense that, oh, well, maybe that would be easier to, you know, to transition. So when he said that, that stuck out to me. And then it never comes up again. Like, it's a joke about reverse eye, you know? She's like, it doesn't work the same way as, like, you know, put two, or Go would be another example. Game where if you surround a tile of one color, you turn it into the other one. I guess it doesn't turn into the other one in Go. You just remove it from the table. In reverse eye, it transforms the color. Anyway, people often told you would turn into a girl if you didn't cut your hair, and look where we're at. Yeah, same. Literally the same. Same thing happened to me. But yeah, so yeah, there was that one little hint where I thought, okay, maybe his desire to be surrounded by women isn't really a sexual thing as much as it is that he just feels more comfortable around women, and maybe he's trans, doesn't understand it, you know? But I don't think that's where the show is going, just because it came up so briefly and hasn't been touched on at all since. Yeah, that was like the height of my interest as I was watching the show. 8 minutes into the first episode, I think I screen capped it. And then in episode 3, we really change gears, because the book lolly story is super sentimental, and it's not even trying to be funny for the most part. And this character does have personality. I'll see if I can find her. Let's see real quick. 100 Girlfriends Librarian. Yeah, this girl. So this girl right off the bat is introduced in a way that makes it way more clear that she's a person that has like an existence beyond the context of being in love with the main character. I literally don't know anything about the other two girls. Like, I if they told me anything, I didn't retain it. This girl was introduced as like she has memorized this book to the point that she can point to phrases in the book to speak to people. I thought, that's kind of a cute gimmick. But, like, it's not doing anything interesting with the gimmick. I guess at the end of the episode when he, like, converts the book into, like, on the phone so that she can just do it on a phone and not be weird. Be slightly less weird. I don't know. It's still fucking weird. I don't know how that changes anything. So, like, you know, it's got a cute gimmick. But the way that the episode unfolds in describing her past is super weird. Because, like, we see them kind of flirting or whatever, and it's just, like, a very humdrum like, not even romantic comedy, just romance. Just a very humdrum high school romance with, like, a gimmicky girl character. So I was kind of like, okay, well, this is boring, it's trite, but at least it's something, you know? But what is it building to? And so, you know, it comes to a scene where she discovers him with the other two girls, and, like, the scene itself is funny, but she gets sad, and then just kind of... It's just like, she's sad for a second, so let's remember everything that's ever made her sad in her life. And, like, we just go back into her backstory, and it's like she gets bullied at school for being a weirdo with a book, and she gets really bullied by her mom, which I was not prepared for that at all. I was like, what the fuck? Her mom's, like, beating her up over the fact that she talks through a book? Like, I was not expecting this to be where we were taking this character. And then, yeah, he, like, converts her book to phone form so that she'll be less weird, I guess. The plot was stupid. So, again, it's like it fixed my biggest problem with the first two issues, in the first two episodes, in that the character was a person, but she was an uninteresting person with an uninteresting story, so it didn't really help very much. So, yeah, thanks for paying that enormous amount of money, JNES, for me to watch this show. It was painful. I got it over with as quickly as possible. And that's your review. So if anybody else wants me to review stuff, you can see on screen I've got this image that says that I will rant about anything for any super chats. Literally anything. Just, I don't know. Even if you just want me to read words, go ahead, super chat it. And from now on, my rate is $50 an episode if you want me to watch an anime episode and rant about it. Or for $100, I'll even review your own stuff. Sometimes people want me to... I don't expect this to happen on this live stream today, but I'm just putting it out there. These are the rates for all of the live streams from now on. So if at any point anyone's seeing this decides you really burningly need me to try a show or read your book, you know, I've done some of this stuff for friends for free, you know. My buddy Nino, he's got this book he's working on called Screw the Omega, a light novel series that's basically like the Black Nasuverse. And you know, I read his first chapter. I gave him some editing notes. He seemed to appreciate it. Everybody else I've given editing notes to lately has appreciated it. People seem to think I make their stories better when I give editing notes. So, you know. But it don't come cheap. Speaking of editing, what if we were actually editing an anime analysis video right now? Holy motherfucking shit. What does this say at the start? By the way, this program DaVinci Resolve is free. It's not perfect, but it gets the job done. It does everything I need it to do. And you can pretty much learn how to use it on a simple level by watching me in this video. The biggest thing here is this is going to be a difficult video to edit because a lot of what I say is really abstract and there's not really an obvious thing to put on screen. So I'm really going to hope that you guys can help me. That you know, you could just give me suggestions of what I should put on screen as we go through this, because I've really been struggling with thinking about this one, trying to visualize it before editing it. Might seem weird to... Hold on. It might seem weird to compare Jujutsu Kaisen against Neon Genesis Evangelion, considering the shows are neither especially similar, different enough to be considered as something like opposites. They are both action shows that involve the main character having to sort of control some sort of berserk monster in order to maybe prevent the apocalypse, but the similarities basically end there. I am presenting these shows not as opposites. I didn't mean for us to listen to this much of it all at once. I just trying to get my audio levels figured out because I switched what channel I had the audio track in right before I hit play on it. Sorry if that blew your fucking ears out. Do I use XLR mic or USB? I use this. This is an Audio-Technica AT4040. Costed $300 when I bought it. I don't know what it costs now. XLR hooked into a Focusrite 2i2. Which is pretty standard for people doing this type of work. I think that's like 120, 150, something like that. It might seem weird to compare Jujutsu Kaisen against Neon Genesis Evangelion, considering the shows are neither especially similar nor different. Alright, so I have no idea what to show here. It might seem weird to compare Jujutsu Kaisen against... It might seem weird to compare Jujutsu Kaisen to Evangelion because they're neither so similar nor so different in obvious ways. How do I visually represent that? Put a Berserk 2016 clip near that Berserk comment. Do I say the word Berserk in here? Compare Jujutsu Kaisen. Oh yeah, I do. I say they're like Berserk. Similarities basically end there. I am presenting these shows not as opposites in the style of storytelling that each one uses to reveal. Oh wait, that's too far. Character having to sort of control some sort of berserk. Okay, yeah. See, you're already making this more complicated because I have all the Jujutsu Kaisen and Evangelion footage downloaded already, and I wouldn't need to go and get it. like I'm going to have to do to get this Berserk 2016 clip, since obviously I don't just have Berserk 2016 on my computer. I say that like anime fans don't just collect dog shit shows that they hate on the regular just to have a complete collection. What am I looking for? Berserk 2016. This is for like a 1 second of footage, by the way. Landon did this. If anybody has a more economical idea for any part of what you're... Video. What the fuck? Okay, hold on. Let's try MP4 YouTube as a search. There we go. That's my friend. Downloading anime. Yeah, yes, I don't care. Alright. Let me slap that in the timeline. We get rid of the audio that we don't need. Where was the word berserk?
And there. I am presenting these shows not as action shows that involve the main character having to sort of control some sort of...
Alright. What do we want for the word berserk? That looks great. Let's do that. Okay. Shit, what did that do? The buttons can be a little weird in this program. Okay.
Berserk monster.
What the fuck is this clip? Why is he fucking sliding like that? I can't believe this fucking show is real. I'm keeping the Crunchyroll and IGN logos in there also, because that makes it even funnier. That they're... Why is there both layered on top of each other, a Crunchyroll and an IGN logo? And then Guts is just sliding.
Some sort of berserk monster in order to maybe prevent the apocalypse.
It was worth it, Landon. It was worth it. It was worth it. I didn't know that clip existed.
Some sort of berserk monster.
Wave dashing? Yeah, pretty much. Alright, let me see what you guys have suggested about how we actually start this video. Okay. How do you prevent copyright? Keep your clips really short. And also speed them up a little bit. That usually helps too. Put on-screen footage from End of Eva and Jujutsu Kaisen movie for the very beginning. Okay, I could do that. I don't think I actually... Well, I might have the movie. So I hand broke most of the... Here's my big folder of hand-broken files I've been using for the anime videos. So like you can see, here was all the Bakano and do-da-da-da footage. Gurren Lagann is for this video. I'm going to be using a lot of Gurren Lagann footage in this. These were other videos. Dead Mount Death Play. And then Shirobako. Did I talk about Shirobako a whole lot recently? I must have been that fucking one about animators. I must have just been using Shirobako. Yeah, I remember now. It was the animator one. 'Cause I'm hack. I do what everyone else does and just use Shirobako footage for it. Alright, so here we've got some Jujutsu Kaisen Season 1 episodes 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 15. For some reason I have 15 twice, and 24. And then I've got Season 2 episodes 1, 4, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17. to work with here. And then, wait, do I not have Ava in here? Did I pass it and just wasn't paying attention? Not thinking about it? I thought I had hand broken my Evangelion. Well, whatever. I talk about Ava at the end of this video, and we're not going to get that far today anyways. So we'll just worry about that later. And we'll get the Ava movie, we'll get end of Ava footage off of YouTube real quick. Okay, so what do I want from end of Ava for the start? What do you think is the best? I don't want something that you've seen another video start with before. What is there in End of Evangelion that I forgot this. I wouldn't just be able to like download the entire movie right off of YouTube. Although this fucking 3-hour video almost certainly has all of it inside of it. Shinji looking out of Unit 01 near the end. How would I describe that scene if I'm trying to find it on Google? End of Evangelion ending. But he's not looking out of Unit 01 in this shot. Oh. That actually, you know what? That little drop of blood before even these fucking spikes come in, because that could come from Ava or Jujutsu Kaisen, and you probably wouldn't immediately realize which if you didn't know already. And I think that's interesting. Okay.
It might seem weird to...
Yeah, okay, so just it might seem weird. See if I can speed it up a little bit without it going to the next clip. No, I cannot. Okay, whatever, that's fine. It's only like 1 second. That's definitely short enough to get around copyright. Evangelion footage is like the scariest copyright minefield. Getting my fucking Ava, rebuild video onto YouTube was a fucking nightmare. You may remember it was covered in GIFs the whole time. So yeah, I'm probably not using a clip more than like a fucking second long from especially the movie.
It might seem weird to compare...
That is really neat shot though, that I don't even like remember. So let's take away anything that's too obviously Ava, if there's anything else. Oh, this also actually, this is obviously Ava, but that shot looks kind of like Shinjuku ruined, so we'll go with that. I love when the visuals can like actually make the case better than the script does, that like the things are similar just by showing you that they kind of look similar in places.
Here to compare Jujutsu Kaisen against Neon Genesis Evangelion.
Alright, now we're going to switch over to Jujutsu Kaisen. So
it might seem weird to compare Jujutsu Kaisen against Neon Genesis Evangelion.
That's great. That was awesome. We've gotten off to a good start. So thank you to everybody who's made suggestions. These have all been great suggestions. Zoom that in a little because it looks kind of like... It's weird that this shot doesn't look letterboxed, but that one did. I don't know if the aspect ratio is actually different in those shots.
Neon Genesis Evangelion.
I would not put that past Anno at all. I have not made a single goddamn dollar on this stream so far. You people are being stingy. You're just taking advantage of the fact that I'm doing something else to not get me to rant about nothing. Well, I see right through your little game. You fools. You thought I wouldn't notice? You thought I would just sit here quietly and edit my little video for someone else's money? we want your dedicated time, I can take a break from this. I'm at a computer. I'd love to take a break from it as often as possible. Editing's not my favorite, although this is going really well so far. Cosmic Blue, thank you so much. $10. Sorry for all the shame, by the way. No, I'm not. Why am I lying? Rewatched Nonbiri Noka yesterday. Light on plot, heavy on busty babes building a village and drinking alcohol. Oh, that sounds fucking awesome. Anyways, rant about Japanese voice acting versus Western voice acting. Well, first I'm going to look up what this... Oh, this is that Farming Life show. You told me about this earlier. Yeah, okay, I am interested in this. I'll check this out with Bird. That seems a little bit more our speed than the 100 Girlfriends show does. Because they're, like, doing something instead of just being high schoolers. Japanese voice acting... It's so... If you want my real-ass honest take, I think we've come far enough socially that we can say that Japanese dubs are somewhat overrated, but it's only because Western dubs of anime are fucking terrible. But, like... So when I think of American voice acting, I never think of... anime dubs, you know, or even most of the time video game voice acting. It's usually not the best examples. But, like, a lot of Adult Swim shows, a lot of their original programming was pretty much driven entirely by the good voice acting. You know, shows like Aqua Teen Hunger Force or 12 Ounce Mouse being a personal favorite of mine. That show pretty much rests on its voice performances. Since there's nothing happening visually. Like, most of the shows were just made so cheaply that it was pretty much, relying on Space Ghost, you know, fucking C-Lab. Like, all those shows relied on great voice acting. So, yeah, Harvey Birdman. All of them. Literally all of them. All the classic Adult Swim shows. And then that evolved where, you know, we got from that guys like H. John Benjamin, who... through going on to be Archer and Bob from Bob's Burgers, and now he's on a fucking pigeon in a Progressive commercial I see every day of my life as somebody who doesn't watch TV, doesn't watch any television of my own volition. I still manage to hear H. John Benjamin's voice every single day talking about Halle Berry in a fucking pigeon commercial. So, so, like, I think that there are amazing... American voice actors, especially in the commercial world. You know, listen to any commercial, the voices are fucking butter, you know. Like, that stuff makes me feel insecure about, like, I feel like I have a good voice, you know. I've been practicing radio for a long time, I've been doing this thing, like, very vocal driven content. I'll listen to those TV voices and I'm like, how the fuck do they sound like that? Even a lot of newscasters, I'm like, how do they do that with the constant up and downs and all of the inflection changes? Like, oh, that's tiring. It fucking feels weird to do, you know. I'm surprised I even did it that well just now. Like, that took effort. But yeah, like, I think there's a lot of great Western voice acting. It's just not in anime, and you can find infinite examples of shit, of why anime dubs are shit. Just watch any anime dub. So the Japanese acting, like, there is as much of a range of quality there, but it's harder to detect as a Westerner. And it's also, it's you know, in both contexts, no matter where we're talking about, a voice actor can only kind of be as good as the script allows them to be. You know? Like, thinking about one of my favorite voice actors who I've seen in a lot of contexts, Tomokazu Sugita. I first knew him for Kyon from Haruhi. You know, I've rewatched that show somewhat recently, and that performance, it's good for what it is, but it doesn't really show off what makes him a great voice actor in the way that him playing Gintoki from Gintama, like, is, you know, required an enormous amount of range that he shows effortless control of. And, like, that guy is such a popular actor that he was in fucking everything for a period of time. And a lot of it BL. You know, like, a lot of... any guy who's got, like, a pretty boy voice that girls end up liking, they'll fill up every single pretty boy show with just all of those voice actors, and like usually there's barely any animation. It's just, you know, smooth buttery voices coming out of pretty looking character designs, but the scripts are fucking terrible, and so the acting is fucking terrible. No matter how good the actors are, the acting in those shows is dog shit. And like if you watch some really low budget anime, you'll hear some fuck awful, you know, amateur recorded in a bedroom, like just some shitty anime voice acting on the level of, say, Ruby, to be maybe my like rock bottom for Western voice acting that's not dubbed. Like in a Western show that's trying to sound like an anime dub and is somehow worse than the average anime dub, just because they don't even have like the you know, the technical know-how to make it sound that good. Yeah, so I guess that's that rant. There's another one here for Gary Always for $2. I'm so fucked up versus I'm the lowest of the low. It's interesting you asked this, because just today I was going back through. So actually, let me bring this on screen. Something I meant to talk about earlier. I created a link tree finally, and this is the biggest collection of all of my content that I've ever made. So you know, you've got my Substack link, Bandcamp, this channel, well, the We Watch Anime channel, then this channel, my Backed By Twitter, the Picnic Adventure channel, Instagram, Patreon, Branches of Yig, which is what, you know, the old Digibro After Dark channel became. And then I've just got some links to just collections of other channels or places where I've released content over the years. This is really old stuff. Like, this was itself an archive of everything I had done up till like 2013. So, and then I've got my anime list in my Letterboxd. So this is linked in the description right now. If you want to find anything I have ever made, it's probably linked in here somewhere. And if it's not, please let me know. Oh, my link tree is what made you think of it. Well, that's funny, because yeah, I was going back through specifically, let's go here to Collected Obscure Links, and Is That You, Matiliata. So this is a short-lived, maybe like 9 months or so, manga blog that I had that was just dedicated to manga, and I was using the name Se Dice Bisonte, which is a reference to a song or an album called Se Dice Bisonte no Buffalo by Omar Rodriguez Lopez. The site itself is that You Matiliata is a Mars Volta lyric. Anyways, it's a manga review thing, and I also was doing scanslation work. I did one chapter of Nekogami Yao Yorozu under my own title of Matiliata Scans, but I also was working with this group, Rice Balicious. Actually, this website doesn't exist, so I don't know why I clicked on the link. But Rice Balicious is a scan group that at the time I joined. Oh, this is like a bot link. I joined it because they were doing a manga called Deus Ex Machina that I liked, and they were like being slow on releases, so I joined so I could help them do it faster. And then we were also doing, like, I did a few chapters of that, and I was just proofreading, but like, you know, fixing all the grammar and making it sound good. So I did a few chapters of Deus Ex Machina, a few chapters of, what the fuck is that manga? It had an anime adaptation. It was this crazy ass series where like the girl has infinitely growing hair and the guy has like the god scissors that can cut the hair, and they become like romantically involved, and it's just really fucking weird. I can't remember what it's called. I proofread a couple chapters of that, which I remember being difficult because the translation was like rough. But most importantly, and relevant to Gary Always' question, the last thing we did, yes, Crime Edge. That's the one, Crime Edge. I did like chapters 6, 7, and 8 or something of Crime Edge. Maybe 4, 5, and 6. Yeah, I think that's what it was. Something like that. I did some Crime Edge, I did some Deus Ex Machina, and then we did the first chapter of Excel World. Way before Sword Art Online was a thing, way before Excel World was super famous, when it was a brand new manga that people were getting excited about. It was the new hyped manga. And I helped bring it into the world and make it as popular as it is and create the career of Reki Kawahara by proofreading the first chapter. You might not find my proofread first chapter online. I didn't find it on MangaFire, which is is that the one I use? Yeah, I think the one I use is called MangaFire. They have the official translation, which does not have all the swearing that I put into it. But I was very insistent that in the scene where the fat kid like slaps the girl like brings him a lunch that she made to cheer him up, and he slaps it out of her hand and says, "I don't need your pity." And then there's a moment where he just kind of like slumps over, and the only way I could describe the vibe of the scene is exactly the same as Shinji going, "I'm so fucked up," and looking at the, cum in his hand. So I had him say that, and they were like, I don't know if he would say fuck. I don't know if that character would say fuck. I'm 100% sure that character would say fuck, at least to himself. I am sure he thinks he is so fucked up in that scene. They let me make the bully swear as much as I wanted to, though. So he's like, "Hey, you fucking fat ass pig bitch, get over here." So anyway, yeah, that's what you made me think of, Gary, always, when you brought up the I'm so fucked up versus I'm lowest of the low. Obviously, I would go I'm so fucked up because there's a swear word in it. The line doesn't hit without the swear word in it. I can't relate to stuff that doesn't have swear words in it, personally. I swear too much. I've been around swearing too long. It's too deep in my soul. When something's not swearing enough, it's like an untrustworthy feeling, I don't need all this extra shit open. Doing this with a trackpad because I don't have enough fucking ports on my laptop to have my microphone and my hard drive and my mouse plugged in at the same time. So my wrist is probably going to be screaming by the end of this. This is the wrong folder. Alright, let's get some Jujutsu Kaisen footage, y'all. We're just going to jump right to stuff that looks kind of like End of Evangelion happening. Here we go. Yeah. Big red. Give me that big red. Alright, something like this. Oh, he's like grabbing him by the teeth. Oh, I guess he's like shooting him in the mouth. Let's see how this looks. Well, do I want to crop it in? I know this is considered a sin by many people. Sosha with $4.99, thank you very much. I don't know if you forgot to type your message, but go ahead and put it in the chat and I'll read it. But otherwise, thanks for the $5. Okay. I'm trying to decide if I want to... I mean, I guess I could make it look like this footage was as letterboxed as that footage, couldn't I? Maybe? No, probably not, because it'll have borders. Alright, let's go ahead and just fucking bring it in. Let's just make it match, because that'll help it get past copyright.
It might seem weird to compare Jujutsu...
What? Why did it stop?
It might seem weird to compare Jujutsu...
Wait, what is that? What is this about? I don't remember clicking that, and I don't know what that button does.
It might seem weird to compare Jujutsu Kaisen against Neon Genesis Evangelion, considering the shows are neither especially similar nor different enough to be considered as something like opposites. They are both action shows.
Yeah, okay.
Something like opposites.
I don't want it to cut to that other shot right there at the end, but otherwise this is fucking perfect. What a great What a great way to show the similarities. Okay.
It might seem weird to compare Jujutsu Kaisen against Neon Genesis Evangelion, considering the shows are neither especially similar nor different enough to be considered as something like opposites. They are both
Yeah, that felt amazing. I'm loving it. JNES with Australian $7.99. Thank you very much. Do you remember Vic and Hope talking about 100 GF in their recent live stream? If so, which one? It was the super long one where they're playing that PS1 looking game. I mean, they both just took it as like super wholesome. They just thought like it's cute and funny, and they thought like I don't know. I don't get it. I didn't even really get into all the things I don't like about the show, because I also didn't like the way it sounds. Like, I thought the soundtrack was just like really corny and dinky sounding, and like the voice acting is all recorded at that like right in your ear level, so it doesn't sound natural, and like the visuals are just flat and boring and not interesting. Like, oh man, nothing was appealing about it to me. So I was really surprised that they gave it such a endorsement, you know. I treated it like it was a precious child and that they love. But yeah, it was, there's a super long live stream where they were talking about they were playing, what the fuck is the game called? I can't remember. It's a game that looks like Resident Evil if it was on the N64 instead of the PS1, basically. To transition into Jujutsu Kaisen comment, use clip 2 minutes 10 seconds of Gojo teleporting on top of building. Show still sucks, but that'd look great, lol. And also Animal Well. What about Animal Well? Okay, I found Sosha's comment before what they meant to say in the super chat. What do I think about all the anime gacha game releases? I personally can't imagine playing a gacha game. It's got gacha right there in the name. Like, if you don't feel like you're being got by something, I know it's not spelled that way, but if you don't feel like you're being got by something called gacha, I don't... I can't, like, they don't... Are they fun? What the fuck do people get out of that? Just like gambling for people who don't want to admit that they have a problem? I don't know. I could not possibly imagine playing a gacha game. So to me it's harmless, because I couldn't... It can't do anything to me. It can't hurt me. It doesn't exist in my world, you know, but... When I see people playing gacha games, I'm like, how? How did this happen? You say dopamine spikes, but there's nothing to get out of it. Like, what is the... What make it... I mean, I don't know. I'm not that type of... I get the dopamine more from, like, like, discovering something, you know? Like, feeling like I uncovered something. I like, you know... I've always loved that feeling, you know, in World of Warcraft when you enter a new area and it's like, and it gives you the title and you get an experience boost, and like maybe you level up just because you walked into a place. It's like, whoa, that's more my like dumb brain, easily pleased, you know, dopamine rush. And it's something I can get in real life even more easily than in a video game, just by like going to a new place. And that's like, it feels way more relevant to me. So there's way more of like a rush, you know, than, because like the world I actually live in and not just some made up thing that 100 million people are going to have the exact same experience with, you know. Not 100 million, that's ridiculous. 10 million tops. Maybe 20 million, I don't know. What's the most ever that a game has been played by people? Mario? 40 million? 80 million? Hundo? Mindo? Alright, what's the next line?
They are both action shows that involve the main character having to sort of control.
Okay, so this is gonna be Evangelion, just Berserker Eva. I forgot I don't have Eva footage yet. Which Berserk scene? I don't want the first one because that's overused. I want the one where he's tearing the other guy to pieces. I guess I could do. Oh, we'll do rebuild first scene. And that'll piss some people off. I can't believe you made me look at the rebuilds. Yeah, the way this video is going to shake out. The argument is not particularly that these shows are different or similar in any kind of story way, like in terms of what happens, but rather that they are good examples of two different types of storytelling that are similar but have kind of an opposite vibe. One of those being what I call inward spiral storytelling and the other outward spiral storytelling. Eva is inward, Jujutsu Kaisen is outward. Gurren Lagann is also outward, but the shape of Gurren Lagann's spiral is different. But all this will hopefully make more sense as I get further in. Alright, we're going to go with the hands. I like the hands shot. It's very bright. Eye-opening.
They are both action shows that involve the main character having to sort of control some sort of control.
I want right before the word control. Okay, and now we'll switch over to Jujutsu Kaisen again. Just because I say the word control with so much emphasis, it'll feel really good to switch from one to the other on that word. So now we need Sukuna. And I'm not going to use the same scene. This is season 2. I wanted... There's a part in season 1. I think I have this part in season 1 where he fights Sukuna inside of himself for the first time. Did I fucking go the wrong direction? My brain has shut itself off. There we go. Shit. Is it this one? Is this already after he fought Sukuna inside of himself? Okay, there's Sukuna. So sure, we'll use this. As long as it's got a Sukuna... wait, well actually, let's look at episode 5 and see if that's got a better one. This should have the end of this fight or whatever. Doesn't have the right visual tone. I wanted that one where they're like inside of him, but that might be in episode 3, and it doesn't look like I hand broke episode 3. So that's fucking inconvenient. Oh wait, no, it's right here. Cool. Alright. We got it. We got this. Oh, actually, I kind of like the thought of... Because we went from him ripping open a hole, so the thought of going now into a new hole, I'm entertained with. What if I reversed that so that it's like... No. No, because it's gonna go from bright to, let's see.
Action shows that involve the main character having to sort of control some sort of berserk monster.
When I speed this up, it might feel more right.
That involve the main character having to sort of control some sort of
No,
berserk.
it's not quite doing it. I really need... Because the word control has so much fucking bite in it. It needs to be like him taking control, you know? Handshake is kind of like the right vibe.
Control some sort of berserk monster in order to maybe
Okay, yeah, I'm okay with that.
sort of control some sort of berserk monster in order to make
It's an interesting control metaphor, I think.
to maybe prevent the apocalypse, but the similarities basically end there.
Sure. Alright, let's see what we've got.
It might seem weird to compare Jujutsu Kaisen against Neon Genesis Evangelion, considering the shows are neither especially similar nor different enough to be considered as something like opposites. They are both action shows that involve the main character having to sort of control some sort of berserk monster in order to maybe prevent the apocalypse, but the similarities basically end there. I am presenting these shows...
Alright, I like it so far. I've kept up this sort of red, purple, visual through line extremely well. And, you know, the metaphors, the action, this feels good. This is a strong start, which is the most important, you know, like the first part, the visuals got to be a little bit attention grabbing, so people are like, oh, you edited this. And then you can kind of, you know, nobody makes it past like 5 minutes. So I removed Berserk. Oh, no. You're right, I accidentally cut over Berserk.
The apocalypse monster.
Fuck. I gotta bring that back. I don't know when I did that. That's one problem I have with this program, is it's very easy to overwrite something you did. I don't want to Control Z because I don't know how many back I have to go, and I don't want to have to redo everything I did. So instead, we'll just go grab the clip and put it in again. But yeah, it is extremely easy to overwrite clips in this program just by accidentally putting one on top of the other. But thank God you remembered, because this is fucking important right here. And this chain hands thing, while I like it, doesn't need to be on screen for that long. So this is actually a perfect interjection.
Some sort of...
Thank God.
of berserk monster.
And then we won't cut back to the hands because that would be goofy. But we'll have the Sukuna punch clip come in a little earlier. So we have a little more time to set it up. Alright, let's see how this goes now.
Sort of control some sort of berserk monster in order to maybe prevent...
Okay, that's a little too jerky there. So we'll put it like... Okay.
Sort of control some sort of berserk monster in order to...
I want a little more chains and a little less pre-chains here. Let's see if that flows
sort
better.
of control some sort of berserk monster in order to maybe prevent the apocalypse, but the similarities basically...
I don't know, was that better before I did that little edit.
Of control some sort of berserk to sort of control some sort of berserk
Yeah, okay,
monster
that's actually
in order
better.
to maybe prevent the apocalypse. But the similarities basic.
All right, we're gonna watch this through one more time. If anybody has anything you want me to rant about, go ahead and send a super chat. We'll take a little break from doing this edit, but I like how this is going.
It might seem weird to compare Jujutsu Kaisen against Neon Genesis Evangelion, considering the shows are neither especially similar nor different enough to be considered as something like opposites. They are both action shows that involve the main character having to sort of control some sort of berserk monster in order to maybe prevent the apocalypse.
Oh, it's
The
so
similarities
good. The
basically
berserk
are
clip
there.
really
I'm
sells it
presenting-
because you start getting invested. You start listening to what I'm saying, and then berserk monster, and it's that fucking clip, and the Crunchyroll, the IGN logos just make it overwhelming. It is so fucking funny. Orluna, don't apologize about not that many, rants having happened. I just ham it up so that people will always remember. I just have to keep people on constant remembrance of the necessity of the super chats. But, I'm never sad to be doing a live stream. These are fun. Evangelion, Inner Spiral, Jujutsu Kaisen, Outward Spiral, 100 Girlfriends, Line. Interesting logic. 100 Girlfriends sounds like it would be an Outward Spiral story, but it doesn't feel that way from what little I watched. And don't cut the guts. How long have I been using DaVinci for? Probably since I started doing We Watch Anime, so like a year. Just because I think it was just like I was using a new laptop and I didn't want to have to go download Vegas again or decide if I was going to use that or Premiere or whatever. I was like, is there just a fucking free one? Is there like a decent free one? And then I looked up, this was the best rated one, and I've been really shocked how good it is. Like, there's very few things. There's certain things that are like a little weird to get used to about how it works, but I am now used to those things, so it feels as intuitive as as Vegas did when I was first using that. So, but yeah, it's totally free and it works really well. The only problem I've had with it is that my computer can hardly handle fucking having it, and something like what people have been calling mic noise is the computer fan being very loud, trying to keep cool while it does this. I have very often had problems of if like a video is just too big, the computer might overheat before it finishes rendering it. So I've had to do like several attempts at rendering and like point fans at it like in Summer Wars, to keep it cool enough to fucking not overheat. It's an Asus ROG, Ryzen. Hold on, let me just open up the fucking computer stats for the people who might be curious. This stuff. Ryzen 9 6900 HS with Radeon graphics, 3.3 gigahertz, 16 gigabytes RAM. There you go, that's the fucking data. Alright. What's the next sentence of this here anime review? Am I just running with the stock fan and heatsink? I don't have anything attached to this thing. It's just the laptop as it is, as it was purchased from Best Buy. Landon, I do not want Vegas. My point was that I did not want to have to re-download Vegas. I don't care about what it costs. I just don't want to have to download it again. This thing, every time there's an update, I immediately get it because it tells me and it's free, so it just updates, telling me YouTube's not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming. Sock Rabbit with $4.99 just simply screams, Evangelion! Sometimes it be like that, though. Sometimes you're just full of that spirit, you know? The Evangelion spirit. Alright. Let's see what the next line is.
I am presenting these shows not as opposites in theme or tone or subject matter, but rather in the style of storytelling that each one uses to reveal its world and characters.
Okay. So let's go in a really different tonal direction, but try to find the softer moments that they feel similar. You know, instead of the presenting them as these vicious action shows and similar in that way, we'll present them as somewhat emotional. So I want Shinji on his walk. Shinji on walk. Let's see if that gets me what I want. No. I don't want the way he walks. Okay. Shinji runs away. Okay, yeah, well this still has the purpley theming that I want too. So sure, we'll use that. It's not the shot that gets used the most from his walk either. It's usually like the flowers or the countryside. So we'll focus on the part where he's just having a fucking panic attack. I don't know if y'all heard that. Sometimes I just suddenly hear this thing like, smartphone connected. It scares me. Speed that up a bit.
I am presenting these shows not as opposites in theme or tone or subject matter.
Great. He's running away from the themes, the tone, and the subject matter. So let's bring that all the way out to here if we can. Yes, we can.
The apocalypse, but the similarities basically end there. I am presenting these shows not as opposites in theme or tone or subject matter.
Yeah, alright. Still feels really nice. I'm really surprised how much I've been able to keep this consistent color tone going without really even trying that hard. But that's my favorite thing about editing anime videos is it always ends up being better than I expect for reasons I don't anticipate. Like, it's just like through the editing I quickly start noticing like, oh, like these shots line up really well with what I'm saying, you know, and it usually doesn't take long to find them. So I'm always surprised like how easy it is to make the video make sense. It's like, I guess whatever I'm saying is just more self-evident in the show than I think when I'm writing the script, you know? And so when I put it on screen, it feels like I'm tripling down on what I'm saying because the show is reminding me how true it is. Lapusha with Australian $5 says, don't want to interrupt your editing, but recently there's been an explosion of anti-Lily Orchard content, and I was wondering what you think of this backlash. I did not know that. What did she do? I would love to know what she did. As for the editing, you know, don't worry about interrupting me. When I'm not doing live streams, I interrupt myself a lot. You know, I'll kind of do a little editing and then watch a little YouTube and then do a little editing and then stand up and walk around and do a little editing, you know, like the actual decision-making process usually goes really quickly for me. It's more a matter of having to think about... I have a hard time doing something that I don't already know exactly what it's going to be beforehand. So with something like the Dead Mount Death Play video, I basically knew every clip that I wanted to use before I even made it, and then I found a bunch more. So like I had a ton of fun editing that, because it was like I knew it would be easy, but then I made it harder for myself because I was having so much fun finding out I could make it even better. This video, I'm feeling that excitement of realizing that it's coming out better than I thought it would, but it's still scary because this video, I came into it with like no concept of what I was going to put on screen. It's very helpful that the chat gave me ideas for like the first couple images, just like a starting place at all, because it's guided me through pretty well, and I've kind of just kept a consistent through line of tone aside from where we break to Berserk, which is really funny. So yeah, we'll probably try to get a gag in like that, maybe within every 30 seconds. That'll keep people watching and think it's just like not a one-off thing. We gotta be clever about it. Anyway, let me go back and read about what's Lily Orchard doing. It's just because she has mid-takes? Well, I mean, she's worse than mid-takes. Her sister revealed all. Her ex-friend, I Love Kim Possible a Lot, finally isn't friends with her, and I think people in general are like, her takes are shit. The fact that she wrote that fanfic but denied now evidence she did wrote it is out there. I haven't heard about any of this. I didn't know that Lily Orchard was friends with I Love Kim Possible a Lot. That is a weird combination to me, because my impression of I Love Kim Possible a Lot has always been like sort of a cutthroat narcissist, and Lily Orchard, I guess, also is a cutthroat narcissist, but in a totally different way, where she's like a social justice obsessed type. Lily Orchard, my first exposure was way back under a different name and in the Brony days, and I kind of saw her as the same thing as that anime snob, but for the other side. Like, in the same way that that anime snob is, like, just this homophobic, raving lunatic that screams about how much he hates the gay influence on anime. Lily Orchard is, like, a raving, trans lunatic screaming about how she hates the conservative influence on cartoons. But both of them, what they have in common is they love talking shit about other creators. They love shitting on other people's content. They love shitting on they're always very mean about it. Like very upfront, just like hateful towards other creators. So Lily Orchard made videos about me like even before Snob, actually, because Snob didn't get interested until I was an anime YouTuber. So Lily Orchard was making troll videos about me way back. And then, I don't know, I just remember kind of being relatively dismissive because she sucks in a similar way to Snob. But then she kind of blew up. Like, she just insisted so hard. But, like, every time I've heard about her, it's been because of a controversial take. It's always like, did you hear that Lily Orchard's getting blasted over her Steven Universe take? Did you hear blah, blah, blah? And I'm like, yeah, that sounds right. I don't know. I've always thought it would be really funny if Lily Orchard tried to start beef with me again, the same way, like, with Snob, like, just bring back the whole rogues gallery. It's like comic books, like, your villains never go away. They might be D-list or A-list villains, they only might get one issue every couple decades, or maybe they get a whole arc or something. Maybe they'll get a graphic novel, but it's like, it's like the C-tier rogues gallery of my life is people like Lily Orchard and Snob, from my perspective. Obviously they don't see themselves that way, but I'm sure there's lots of other people who also see them as like the C-tier villains of their sphere. Anybody who's messed with them, or who they've messed with, I mean to say.
But rather in the style of storytelling that each one uses to reveal its world and characters.
Okay, so I need a clip from Jujutsu Kaisen that communicates style of storytelling it uses to reveal its world and characters. Yeah, I think her channel got popular mostly because she talks about Western cartoons from like a social justice trans perspective at a time when that wasn't being done. Like the brony community really splintered off a lot because so for my bit of a history lesson here, there have been cartoon review channels on YouTube for a long time. Like Mysterious Mr. Enter, even before he was doing pony reviews, had already been a cartoon reviewer. You got guys like that guy with the glasses. There's several people on there who talked about old cartoons and shit like that. But there wasn't like a mainstay cartoon review space on YouTube besides people associated with that guy with the glasses. And almost everybody was competing to be a part of that, very foolishly. It's a total racket, but everybody just saw that racket and was fucking headlong diving into it. So, like, when I started doing pony content, a lot of the people that were doing stuff alongside me were heavily inspired by that guy with the glasses. And particularly the people who were around early, like, not so much the ones who... Because, like, when I started doing analysis as apart from reviews... I inspired hundreds of people to do analysis, or at least what they called analysis, whether it really was in the spirit of what I'm doing or not, or just like reviews that they're calling that. A lot of people started doing that. And a lot of those people stuck with My Little Pony. I don't know if Kim Possible always did. I'm sure she moved on to other cartoons probably. It was always in her name, so she always had, the ability to do that. But there were other people who were like bordering with her, who collaborated with her, who are like still talking about My Little Pony. And then there's a lot of the people who had been around from the start of it, even by like 2014, were starting to move on into doing like Five Nights at Freddy's content, or fucking Steven Universe content, or Star vs. the Forces of Evil, like all these other Western cartoons. And so like a lot of these pony reviewers just kind of suddenly created a cartoon review space, and then that flourished in itself and spread forward. So... I definitely, it's a fascinating evolution that I've seen, but I've never really kept up with any of that because I don't watch Western cartoons. So it's like I see that the videos exist, but I don't watch them because I don't really care about the shows for the most part. And a lot of the reviewers I'm not that interested in either, but obviously the right reviewer could make it work. B-Mask, if he talks about anything, I'm going to watch it. Great channel. If you don't know B-Mask, B-Mask. Great channel. All of the content there is worth watching, pretty much. All right, we want Jujutsu Kaisen, and we're trying to communicate story structure, which I saw like the thumbnail of this had TV monitors. Yeah, that communicates some kind of structure to me. Let's see if it works in context, but it doesn't have the right color palette, so that might not work unless I'm ready to finally move away from the purples, but I don't know if it's going to be too jarring and sudden now that we've set up such an expectation of purple in the visuals. Also, did I just pass right by the TVs? I think I might have accidentally just passed right by that scene. Yeah, it's only like a few seconds in. Okay, whatever. Can feel the computer beginning to strain under the weight of this. Okay, so I think if we start from here, it won't feel too jarring. Let's see.
It's in theme or tone or subject matter, but rather in the style of storytelling that each one uses to reveal its world and characters.
Well, first let's speed it up and see if that changes how I feel about it.
Theme or tone or subject matter, but rather in the style of...
It's just that this image doesn't move. That's the problem I'm having with it. I don't want to go from like a quick action to total lack of movement. Maybe this will work. Cutting from running to running. And they've got enough purples in their suits.
Presenting these shows not as opposites in theme or tone or subject matter, but rather in the style of storytelling that each one uses to reveal its world and characters.
I don't want that much running. Let's try starting with these three. They're even purpler.
or tone or subject matter, but rather in the style of storytelling that each one uses to reveal its world and characters.
That's what I wanted. That's the effect I was going for. I think I could probably slow this down a bit and just use a little less of the head, because the running at that speed looks goofy. Let's see.
Uses to reveal subject matter, but rather in the style of storytelling that each one uses to reveal its world and character.
It still kind of feels really goofy. Let's make it just... Let's see if we can get away with normal-ish speed. I think just this run animation is just kind of ganked. It's very choppy and strange. It's definitely not the best looking episode of Jujutsu Kaisen that I've grabbed here.
But rather in the style of storytelling that each one uses
better
to reveal its world and characters.
Sure, that works.
I don't...
Alright. Let's check this little segment
Roll
back.
some sort of berserk monster in order to maybe prevent the apocalypse, but the similarities basically end there. I am presenting these shows not as opposites in theme or tone or subject matter, but rather in the style of storytelling that each one uses to reveal its world and characters. I don't know if these are necessary.
That feels right. Matches the tone of what I'm saying, the rhythm of it. I always try to go for a very rhythmic, like I want the images to feel like the words in pacing, because it just, that's kind of, animation should match the, you know. It's hard to get that to work sometimes, but I've gotten better at it. Y'all are having a totally different conversation in here. There's some occasional gems in American cartoons, Batman, Looney Tunes, and Avatar, but those don't change much. Bad stuff coming from American cartoons, so much bad stuff. I think it's pretty equal on both sides, honestly. Just bad anime doesn't enter most people's purview. But there's so fucking much anime that comes out every season, and the overwhelming majority of it is garbage. Arcane was awesome, yeah. I think the ratio is pretty much the same across all media. Sturgeon's revelation was that 90% of everything is crap. The law of the vital few says that, you know, essentially 80% of your care is going to be given to 20% of the stuff that you care about, you know? So, like, even within, it's like 90% of everything you're not going to care about at all. So then within that last 10%, you know, 80% of your care is going to just the top 20% of that 10%. So ultimately, that would leave you with, I can do math. What, like 4% or something? 4% of everything is stuff you're really going to care about? Something like that. If I ever talk about American cartoons, could I talk about The Owl House? It's Disney's gayest work. I've seen the first episode and like some change, but I don't know. American kids shows are really difficult for me because it really feels like I'm watching a kids show, you know? Like, it's hard for me to shake that feeling. It's hard for me to be like, just because it doesn't feel like it's made for me, you know, like I'll be like, oh, I guess that's cute, you know, but like it just feels so, you know, it feels like it would mean something to me if I was a kid, but it doesn't because I'm not. Like, I liked Avatar: The Last Airbender when I watched it when I was like 19 or 20, but I don't know if I would still enjoy it if I watched it now, you know, like. Even at the time, I was a little put off by the fact that there's, like, a war, but you'd see no one die ever, you know? It's like, oh, all right. It feels a little corny. I really don't think there's as much middle ground as you think about there being. I think 90% of everything is crap. Like 90% of everything created, the overwhelming majority of what is created will never reach you. The vast, vast majority of everything that somebody creates will never reach you because it sucks. It's never going to be published. It's never going to, be promoted. Plenty of stuff that sucks still gets published and promoted. But the overwhelming majority of stuff is not even going to get to that level, So you got to consider that, like, if something is even at the level where anyone gives a fuck about it at all, it's already crested up pretty high, into the percentages. But in terms of being relevant to you as an individual, there's just no way that you're going to enjoy more than like 10% of any category of media. Like, even if we're talking about in the world of anime, for instance, I mean, if you really go through my anime list and realize how many anime there are, I don't think it's unreasonable to think that like the 20% at the most is something that you might enjoy. I like Targaryen Spices, why you thought I might like Owl House, but I forced myself to watch High Guardian Spice because I knew I needed to talk about it, because I had made controversy about it. I enjoyed it overall, but there's no chance in fucking hell I would have watched it if not for the fact that I knew I was going to make a video about it. Like, I would have bounced off of it within a minute, and then been done with it. But I was looking for the positive so that I could give it a good review, not a positive review, but I wanted to accentuate everything about it, negative or positive, and be fair in a way that I couldn't have been when it didn't exist yet, And it was never my intention in the beginning to say that the show necessarily had to be bad, just that it was a bad idea on Crunchyroll's part, which remains true. It's really unfortunate what it did for the career of Ray Ramirez. I think that's their name. Ray Rodriguez. That's what it is. Ray Rodriguez. God damn. I got the fucking last name wrong. Ray Rodriguez, who wrote and directed the show, has been not having an easy time coming back from it. Anyway,
I don't know if these are necessarily the most perfect examples that I could have used to explain this whole idea. Maybe I could have found shows that seem more instinctively similar or dissimilar in other ways, but hopefully the point of choosing these two shows will become apparent once I start describing the ways in which these stories function.
Yeah, so this is another place where I could practically show anything and it would mean just as much. So we'll just keep showing clips of the shows, I guess. Maybe I'll use some more. Let's get some Asuka in here, maybe. Asuka. Yeah, it's sad that Ray took so much punishment for that instead of Crunchyroll, which still just gets to exist and be, I think I did more damage to my own career by calling out Crunchyroll than I did to Crunchyroll. How fucked up is that? Just calling them out on their own bullshit, made the industry not like me and made them have to, change their player quicker than they were, I guess, planning to, according to themselves. But, actually, yeah, let's use that shot where it's just Unit 02 sitting in the purple goop. Nope. Oh wait, there's an open Dr. Pepper over here.
Nah, that's not. It was
That was my dad. thinking he left a drink and realizing he didn't. Alright. Oscar. Langley. Soryu. I don't want any of the fetishizing the child. I just want her robot. Actually, Shinji in his fucking plug suit is pretty funny.
Reveal its world and characters. I don't know if these are necessarily the most perfect examples that I could have used to explain this whole idea. Maybe I could have found shows that seem more instinctively similar.
I don't think I can use this much of the clip, although it's really funny.
I don't know if these are necessarily the most perfect examples that I could have used to
Maybe if I cut a little forward in this clip. So I don't need her. I don't need all of that.
Necessarily the most perfect examples that I could have used to explain this whole idea. Maybe I could have found...
Alright, we'll use that much. That's pretty fun.
Uses to reveal its world and characters. I don't know if these are necessarily the most perfect examples that I could have used to explain this whole idea. Maybe I could have found shows that seem more instinctively similar or
Okay. Yeah. I like that. Rhythmic. Alright, back to Jujutsu Kaisen. Let's go back to Season 2, because Season 1 kind of looks like ass by comparison. Oh, let's jump into this fucking scene. And the aesthetic gets all fucking island. I don't want him jumping out of the pool, because I already used that in another video. Ooh. I like that weird shot of his face there. What if we started from wherever this shot starts? Oh, it starts like super bizarre. Okay, okay, because we're going right from red to red, so that'll be fun. Yes, like this. This is what we want. And form a connection between...
idea. Maybe I could have found shows that seem more instinctively similar or dissimilar in other ways, but hopefully the point of choosing these two shows will become apparent once I start describing the ways in which these stories function.
Alright. Let's increase it just slightly more so we can get the results of this impact and also better copyright prevention.
The ways in which these stories function. Making an
That's fun. Okay, let's see how that looks. It's a little bit longer of a clip.
This whole idea. Maybe I could have found shows that seem more instinctively similar or dissimilar in other ways, but hopefully the point of choosing these two shows will become apparent once I start describing the ways in which these stories function. Making an extreme...
Cool. That felt really nice. And it feels like a clear transition out of that paragraph, you know? I like that. It's like a period at the end. So now this is like a complete segment now. In my mind, this is like the first segment. The software is DaVinci Resolve. It's free.
It might seem weird to compare Jujutsu Kaisen against Neon Genesis Evangelion, considering the shows are neither especially similar nor different enough to be considered as something like opposites. They are both action shows that involve the main character having to sort of control some sort of berserk monster in order to maybe prevent the apocalypse, but the similarities basically end there. I am presenting these shows not as opposites in theme or tone or subject matter, but rather in the style of storytelling that each one uses to reveal its world and characters. I don't know if these are necessarily the most perfect examples that I could have used to explain this whole idea. Maybe I could have found shows that seem more instinctively similar or dissimilar in other ways, but hopefully the point of choosing these two shows will become apparent once I start describing the ways in which these stories function. Making an extreme
Great.
general...
Cool. Paragraph 1 complete. I'm gonna go take a piss. If anybody has anything they want me to rant about, send a super chat, and I will rant about it when I get back, hopefully with more beer. I don't know why I didn't think to like play something before I leave the room. I'm gonna grab a drink and maybe like a snack. So I'm gonna play Hunted K again, my new song that I debuted at the start of this stream. And you know, anybody who didn't hear it then, I don't know why I looked in the wrong music folder, can hear it now.
Here I find myself 100,000 times through realms of wonders parallel, compelled to spell 100,000 rhymes intertwined with entities everywhere and all in kind, weathering snare particulates that splinter off and through the air into the sky. Hi, my name is Beatrice and I am high. They call me Trixie Goldie Witch online and in line for the signing. Rhyming is a thing I do. I'm the YouTube streamer too, redeemer of the stolen youth, leading people like you into the booth. No voter, headshot, no joker, dead cops, no broker, dreadlocks, no poker face. I'm another race, an alien displaced from somewhere else, another place so far away, but not Australian or Welsh. My brother Shade, that's his real name, knows how to game and to excel. He produced half of Gay and Dead, Sarah Louise did half as well. These and peers get down in Paris to the base swell. It'll be a cold day in hell before I face 1200K, that's a baseline take. Delve into my lore like it's Elden Ring. Bore into my brain with a drill bit ring. If you liked it, then you should have thought about it before he put a ring on it. No fling. Thingy do bingy bongy upon the beat do bongy wrist body zip shoddy flip shoddy rich. Putting the stick back in the box. Oxy music influence toxic. Britney Spears queer psychotic fearless psychic powerless. Another chick's rack giving hick rap bringing it back. Candy flip fresh gish magician no pumpkin smash. The bumpkin raps the function slabs the gumption tracks debunk the whack. The punk is back. Popularly played in your room like PlayStation. Probably delayed in the gloom from creation. Properly portrayed by a gloom incarnation. Positively baked off the blooms. Ask your mama if she fuck with it. Grab a partner when the touches it. Take a puff, no titty. Ain't a rush, just tripping. No rat, no mud, no drizzy, just Missy in a blunt. Speak for a living, stunt for a hobby. Got some awesome memories in some hotel lobbies. Got some awful memories in some hotel parking. Got a lot of memories, yeah, I keep walking. Got a lot of petty beef, I still steal from Walmart. Dropped a lot of tracks for free, no appeal to wall chop. Dropped a lot of racks on weed, really got for restart. Probably never have money, I really went for retard. Dropped a lot of racks on weed, really got for restart. Probably never have money, I really went for retard. Had to redo that last bar. Dang. See, I'm the grown up version, so I'm allowed to say that. Like, I get to say faggot because I'm LGBT and but if you're not a retarded faggot, I really don't want to hear those words out of your mouth, alright? Those are all words, okay? Bye. Honey, K. Honey, K. Honey, K. Hey, listen. Hey.
There you go. That's 100K, my new song. I haven't released it anywhere except for the stream yet, but it exists. The Pooh Show with Australian $2 says the other aspect was LO was faking being Native American. How does one find themselves doing such a thing as that? For money? Well, I mean, if you're stealing money from the government, I guess I'm for it. But if you're taking money that should be going to an actual Native American person, it's kind of fucked up. That's really strange. Well, anybody want me to rant about anything? Go ahead and put in them rant requests. Otherwise, we're moving on to the second paragraph of this here video.
Making an extreme generalization, I think there are two shapes that a story can take.
All right.
A circle or a spiral.
All right. This is where we're getting to the part where I was really afraid of editing this video because I have to start making visual representations of these storytelling ideas. And I guess for story circles, I know there are visual graphics that already show you what a story circle is, but
making an extreme generalization, I think there are two shapes that a story can take.
Okay, so I think I'm gonna have a clip fade from that into a static graphic of a story circle. That's the best idea I've got right now. So first we're gonna gather a story circle. I felt a pang of embarrassment when I clicked over and there was like all of that 100 girlfriends art on the screen. Like, oh god, I hope nobody's standing behind me. Like, I felt that. I don't feel that very often. Not these days. It took me back to like being a 16-year-old when I was worried people would find out I was watching girly shows. Sure, this is colorful. This will look good on camera. Establish the protagonist. Something isn't right. Crossing the threshold. The road of trials. Meeting the goddess. Paying the price. Bringing it home. Master of both worlds. And then you go back through the circle again. Okay. So we're going to just use some more. We need another Evangelion clip to lead into that. So, well, we haven't used Ray, so let's get Ray in here. 100 Girlfriends is not fucking based. I'm sorry. What the fuck? I typed Ray and I got REI Co-op. How did this? How could that have won the SEO grab? Yeah, this works for me. It's the right color palette. I think we're still on that color palette. I don't need none of that. Honey K, honey K. It's fucking stuck in my head now. Popularly played in your room like PlayStation, probably delayed in the gloom from creation. That whole bit, I just be walking around doing that in my head all day. Popularly played. Honey K, honey. Why is this not downloading? What is the issue here? I'm honestly surprised my internet has held up through this stream, because the fucking internet for the last couple days has just like gone out randomly all the time. So like that made me think for a second my internet had gone out, and I'm like, oh god, that means the stream's gonna go out, but it does not seem to be the case. It's sad that I trust the Wi-Fi less than I trust my phone's fucking 5G or whatever, 4G, but I am right next to the fucking router, so it's probably as good as it could be right now. Still having bitrate issues though, but I think that's the computer's fault.
And once I start describing the ways in which these stories function. Making an extreme generalization,
No,
I
that
think
doesn't
there are
work at all, but let's see. Oh, that'll work. I think.
describing the ways in which these stories function. Making an extreme
Yes.
generalization, I think there are two shapes that a story can take.
I didn't realize I had downloaded a very heavily edited video that's just like every shot of Rei Ayanami. I don't know if I want it to feel so chaotic suddenly, but I do like when I just incidentally take someone else's editing and it works for my video. So let's see if that works.
Making an extreme generalization, I think there are two shapes that a story can take. A circle.
Oh right, I'm supposed to be fading out there anyway to the story circle. So what is your file type, you son of a bitch?
A circle.
So I think I'm going to crop in on this a bit and move it. Oh, I can't cut off the fucking boards thing, can I? Oops. I really don't want any of the text, but I guess the letter B is fine. There'll just be a B there, you know, it's no big deal. It stands for me, Beatrice, sure. Whatever. Okay. So now I want a crossfade. Weirdly, it like if you right click, it gives you the option for a 4-frame cross dissolve is like the most, but you can just pull it, you know, to make it bigger. It's just strange that Hold on, this isn't the way I want it to be. How do I make it so it only pulls on one side and not the other side? I can't just move it. End on edit. Okay, there we go. I just learned something new about how to use this program. Unfortunately, it looks like I made it too fucking long before I did that. So let's go ahead and make it a 4-frame, then make it end on edit, so that it doesn't fucking glitch itself to hell or whatever the fuck just happened. Yes, I would like to change that. Thank you. Start on, no, I want it to end on edit. Okay. Take that back to at least when this starts getting really chaotic.
Making an extreme generalization, I think there are two shapes that a story can take. A circle or a spiral. And a spiraling story...
So, the problem is, there's no such thing as a story spiral until I make it up in this video. So, let's see what we get. Well, maybe some other people have had the concept of a story spiral. Although I don't really understand what these fucking graphics mean. No, that's not what I'm looking for at all. No. I mean, just a regular fucking Fibonacci spiral might be good enough. How to use a spiral story structure. Interesting. I wonder if they say anything similar to what I'm gonna say. This might be the best. This might be the best visual metaphor for what I'm gonna talk about, because it applies to both type of spirals, and then I can make a more specific spiral when I really get into what a storytelling spiral is. But I believe I talk about circles first, so like in terms of getting in depth about what I mean. Alright, so we'll put the spiral. Unfortunately, it's not quite the right size to just fit. Alright, I know a solution. We'll just add more white space to this. Cool. Well, actually, that I didn't leave enough white space actually that time. So we want it sort of in the middle, and then like, yeah, that's even better. Cool. Huh. It came out looking different, didn't it? That's not what it looked like when I was editing it just now, is it? Wait, what the fuck? Why did it... Why did it look like that? That wasn't right. Yeah, see, this is much more white space and is much thinner. Let's try saving it under a different name. Maybe it's a problem of it already has received that image once with that name, so it thinks it's the same image. Yeah, okay, that worked. These are the kinds of things that you would not probably figure out how to fix if you didn't already have experience fixing those problems. But I do. Okay, doesn't that look cute? Got our little story circle and spiral all set up.
In generalization, I think there are two shapes that a story can take: a circle or a spiral. And a spiraling story can...
Sure, you know, you don't know what it means, but at least visually you understand that that's a circle and a spiral. I think it works. Cosmic Blue with $5 says, weird question. In the end of Evangelion, where Shinji sees Giant Ray reaching out to him, is it an allegory for losing virginity, like the smashing of the egg in Angel's Egg? At the very least, it's probably a like an impregnation, you know, seed going into egg, like metaphor. I mean, it's been a long time since I've watched End of Evangelion, but I remember the time where I felt like I understood it. I was like, oh, it's just a bunch of sex imagery. It's the most over-the-top sexual metaphors visually imaginable over and over and over again. You know, it's definitely more of a thing that it communicates more on feel than it does on, like, what does this mean? It's like, well, what does it feel like? You know, and it feels like sex is super scary. Human connection is terrifying. That's pretty much... So Darling in the Franxx, but better? Well, yeah, I mean, Darling in the Franxx is just a greatest hits collection of, like, basically people who... I want to say that the staff of Darling in the Franxx is mostly people who, like, grew up with Evangelion and Gurren Lagann as, like, the thing that, like, their elders at the company had made, you know? It's like, because it's Studio Trigger, former Gainax staff, like, for the most part. But it wasn't exclusively, like, people who had been from the old studio. It wasn't, like, the creative heads who'd made most of those projects. It's, like, the younger generation staffers just copying, you know, what their forebears had done, and worse. Not that good. Not a good show. Fuckers in the Franxx, not a favorite.
I think there are two shapes that a story can take: a circle or a spiral. And a spiraling story can either be presented as an inward spiral or an outward spiral. I'm going...
Okay. Inward spiral. We're going to use some Welcome to the NHK for this, I think. See if there's anything that I get by just typing spiral. The rawest scream in anime history. Not what I'm looking for. Let's see if the trailer has... Oh god, this looks like fucking dog shit. Okay. I typed Elcom. Thank God for the fact that search just knows what I mean. I don't want the OP. I might want the ED, actually. No, not the fucking... I need the visuals. Wow, is there not the visuals of the fucking NHK ED anywhere on YouTube? Really? A fucking TV recording? Well, the footage wouldn't really work anyway. Okay, let's just type, like, schizo. I just want, like, a scene of him fucking losing his shit.
That's what it is. A conspiracy.
That works. Freud would have a lot to say about Shinji. I mean, I think in a way he did, because, like, you know, I mean, Jung also, but, like, it's just what Anno was, like, reading about psychology, you know, when he created Eva. So it's like he built Shinji out of the understanding of how psychology works that he would have gotten from reading texts like Freud and Jung. I don't know if that's the right way to pronounce any of those names. Also, but, just say the words. All right.
And a spiraling story can either be presented as an inward spiral or an outward spiral.
All right, I really like that for inward spiral. Slow it down ever so slightly so that I get the better cut.
An outward.
Got some super chats coming in. I'll read that in just a second.
Spiral. And a spiraling story can either. These two shows will become apparent once I start describing the ways in which these stories function. Making an extreme generalization, I think there are two shapes that a story can take: a circle or a spiral. And a spiraling story can either be presented as an inward spiral or an outward spiral. I'm going to explain all of this until it makes sense. I swear to your waifu.
Okay. Laputia with Australian $5. Zoe, who broke that Corain sitch, wrote a book called Iron Widow, which came from her disappointment with Fuckers in the Franks. Really? Fascinating. She wrote a book based on her disappointment with Fuckers in the Franks. That is I mean, I could see it. It's definitely one of those, in the same way I feel about Sword Art Online, where I'm like, there was a lot of potential here. Like, there is good ideas in here that could be salvaged, but it's just so clumsily handled. It's always a good motive. Spite is a great motivator, And then Twi with $2. Advice for how you go about recording a script. I'll literally show you right now how I do it. I can't open Audacity, but Audacity's free recording program. You just hit the button and you start talking. And in my case, I'm extremely well practiced in reading scripts. So, for instance, here, let me make it so the microphone is visible so you can see exactly like how far I am and everything. Or, I don't know. I can't hold it. Okay, here we go. Bishoujo Senshi Sailor Moon is unquestionably one of the most influential manga franchises of all time. Right from its inception in 1991 and long past the original manga's end in 97, it has remained a cultural force, not only continuing to reincarnate in an ever-expanding multimedia empire, but also to have inspired countless artists and creative works. So I guess I would say one part of it is make sure that you're going up and down in tone a lot, but at like a gradual pace. Because, like, newscasters, they're trying to just always hold your attention. It's obnoxious. You want more of a smooth, like melodic. In this video, I'll unpack what made this classic series so instantly impactful that it's still discussed and merchandised today around the... And, like, you can tell that I'm reading this not knowing what words are coming. It helps if you have just read it and you know what the words are going to be. So going back through that... Bishoujo Senshi Sailor Moon is unquestionably one of the most influential manga franchises. Bishoujo Senshi Sailor Moon is unquestionably one of the most influential manga franchises of all time. Right from its inception in 1991 and long past the original manga's end in 97, it has remained a cultural force, not only continuing to reincarnate in an ever-expanding multimedia empire, but also to have inspired countless artists and creative works. In this video, another part of it is just kind of like commit to, if you start a sentence and you realize like you sound intense, just keep sounding intense. There I was like, but also, and so I had to keep on that rhythm. You know, like, make sure you finish the... What mic I have in cost, this is a $300 Audio-Technica 4040 hooked up to a $150 Focusrite 2i2 preamp. The stand's probably like $30. I don't know. But I have a bunch of mic stands. I would not recommend this as an entry-level mic. You know, I would say maybe have a little bit of experience. I started with the AT2020, but I doubt that's even still being made, so I don't know. I like Audio-Technica stuff because it's cheap, consumer-grade stuff that functions well. But anyway, that's basically what my process looks like. So I would just then go through and delete all the bad takes, delete all the silences, delete all the breaths, and make it sound consistent, which is just a matter of like highlighting those segments and pressing backspace in Audacity. And there you go. That's how I record a script. I know a lot of people make it a lot more complicated than I do. And when people see my process, they tend to be like, oh, you could just be doing it like that? You know, I didn't realize it was actually that easy. But, yeah. It also helps, like, how good you sound. Your microphone matters, but also how you use it. Like, I know this microphone is built for, like, it will pick up my voice best if I speak in this kind of low hum that comes from, you know, yeah, like that range. If I was speaking in a different vocal range, I just wouldn't come through as clean. And it's just like, I know the microphone really well. I know it sounds good on it, you know? So it's not just the microphone, it's how you use it. You know, they all have their own... Every microphone has its own purpose for what it's like ideally meant to be used for, but very few people will ever figure out what those purposes are, because not a lot of people can afford that many microphones to like really experiment and know what they're doing with them, unless they work in that field or, you know, study it closely.
Or a spiral. And a spiraling story can either be presented as an inward spiral or an outward spiral. I'm going...
All right, so what's a good visual example of outward spiral in just like an image in an anime that's not Gurren Lagann? Because I'm already going to use Gurren Lagann. Well, no, I also bring up Welcome to the NHK later in this script, so fuck it. We'll bring up Gurren Lagann right here. Foreshadowing. It's all foreshadowing. Popularly played in your room like PlayStation, probably delayed in the gloom from creation, properly portrayed by a blooming carnation. Proper... Fucking, I can't remember the next lyric. Which episode? What do I want from Gurren Lagann? Landon, you just screamed "fuck perfect clip," but you didn't say what the perfect clip is. What is the what perfect clip? Fuck. What mic do I use when recording my music? I just use this same microphone for everything, except for when I'm doing my, you know, my live streams on the cell phone, where I'm just using the cell phone's inbuilt audio. But yeah, I don't have another microphone. I just got this. There is like a stage mic, like I think it's a Shure M50 or something. It might not even be exactly that, but we have a stage mic that we use for karaoke that it produces a different effect, and I think I could use it for some things. But like when I recorded Rogue Alien Pet, I actually did the whole album with two microphones while I was holding the stage mic and recording into this mic. And very rarely, if ever, did I end up using any of the stage mic takes. It just didn't sound that good, so I don't know if I used any of it at all. Maybe only in a couple places. Lapucia with Australian $5 says, forgot to mention, the makers of Franks know about Iron Widow. They like the book, and Zoe agrees with them, Zoe is NB, about Franks. And oh, they agree with Zhao. The people who made Franks agree with Zhao about Franks and like the book. That's wild. It's wild that they would have found. How did all this transpire? How did all this get communicated between people? What world are you in where you found all this information that I've never heard anything about? It's interesting. What beer am I drinking? This is a hilarious beer. This is Lima Vesa. Because Stone Brewing, which is one of the better breweries, invented Buena Vesa, which is a salt and lime lager that is very, very good. It is my favorite light beer, my favorite cheap beer. And this is the Aldi knockoff version that's even cheaper and even lighter, and it's called Lima Vesa, lime lager. It doesn't have the salt, though. It's just a lime lager, so it's kind of like a little off. I wonder if I could add a little salt to this and if it would taste fine. But yeah, it's a lime lager. It's okay. It's good for the price because it was 6-pack for $7.50 or something like that, which is pretty cheap. All right, what do I want from Gurren Lagann? 100K, 100K. Do I want to go right to the last episode? That looks kind of like a spiral. Let's just do that.
Inward spiral or an outward spiral. I'm going to explain all of this until it makes sense. I swear to your waifu.
Fun. Yeah, I like that. And most people probably wouldn't even realize this is Gurren Lagann because it is so abstract. But is there something I should do for the I swear to your waifu line? Do you think I need to add anything there?
Is an inward spiral or an outward spiral. I'm going to explain all of this until it makes sense. I swear to your waifu. So
maybe like a confused looking waifu PNG, like disappearing into there. Like, what's a good? Does anybody know a good PNG of like a moe girl, like oh my god type, you know, like, or just like, you know, holding like confusion, like what is I cannot parse question marks around the head type image, you know.
Dan Harmon, who co-created Rick and Morty, created Community, was
Okay, I guess I need a Dan Harmon next. You all know Dan Harmon is apparently writing the American live-action One Punch Man film. Oh, hey, what do you know? You type Dan Harmon and the first fucking result is the Story Circle video. Perfect. It's like they were like, you're gonna need this, so here you go. I mean, look, if they're going to make a One Punch Man live-action movie, I would rather it be Dan Harmon than anybody else writing it that I could think of. So, you know, if it has to happen, at least it's him. Some kind of bug bite on my elbow. Don't remember getting. Okay, Story Circle. Still let me know if you come up with a good confused girl, oh my god, PNG image that I can throw in on that waifu line. I don't want us all to forget about that. This fucking schlub.
So Dan Harmon, who co-created Rick and Morty, created Community, was head writer on both of those shows. He popularized the idea of the story circle as a simplification of the concept of the hero's journey, which was famously conceived by Joseph Campbell in his book, The Hero with a Thousand Faces. Story circles are founded...
Okay, so obviously I need to overlay this with that clip of the one dude with the whiteboard, right? Didn't know this was set to like a trap remix of somebody that I used to know. Why? Why is that so funny to me? Oh my god. Oh man. Didn't have to cut me off. Fucking Godier. Okay. All right. Perfect. Look at that. Look at that glide into place. Alright, so just need that long, slow fade.
your waifu. So Dan Harmon, who co-created Rick and Morty, created Community, was head writer on both of those shows. He popularized the idea of the story circle as a simplification of the concept of the hero's journey, which was famously conceived by Joseph Campbell in his book, The Hero with a Thousand Faces. Story circles are...
So stupid. Should I have it start coming in earlier or later? I think a little later.
Head writer on both of those shows. He popularized the idea of the story circle as a simplification of the concept of the hero's journey, which
oh my god, they almost match up
Campbell
perfectly a couple times.
The Hero with a Thousand Faces. Story
That's
circles
fucking hilarious, actually. I'm really happy about that. We still need a waifu. What am I looking at in the chat? Add in free run? Oh yeah, free run could work. What is this when you're talking about? Or Luna says, look up Hime Noises Happiness Charge Precure. But can I get it with a P? Because I want a PNG. I just want like a transparent background PNG. Although I guess a wah could be... Yeah, I don't really want a sound though. I don't know if I want a sound effect. I think I just want like a... Let's see if we can find a good free run, because I know there are some like confused free runs and stuff like that for... What is this? God damn it, I can't read that shit. Oh, please be patient, I have autism. Great. Actually, you know what? This might be the one. This might be the one. It might have to be the one. Older woman in question? Yeah, okay. Drunk from Software posted this on r/freeren. I think we've got our pick.
Outward Spiral. I'm going to
Shit, how do I animate this, actually? I'm not sure how to do... I don't remember how to do animations in this program. I think it's with this button that I can do like a... Oh, okay, I think... So what I want is for it to start off... No. I want it to start off like that. But by the end, I want it to be in a different position. So how do I make that happen? Okay, I think maybe I'm getting closer to the answer here. That's the lock point. Okay, so if we... Does this work? Not quite what I was going for, but...
I'm going to explain all of this until it makes sense. I swear to your waifu. So Dan Harmon, who explain all of it.
There's gotta be a way to make that a little smoother, but it's...
I'm going to explain all of this until it makes sense. I swear to your waifu. So Dan Harmon, who co-created Rick and Morty. So Dan Harmon.
Okay. How do I move? 'Cause the problem is the animation stops a little earlier than I would like it to, and I don't know how to make that move. How do I move the endpoint? How do I make you happen elsewhere? See if that did something.
I'm going to explain all of this until it makes sense. I swear to your waifu. So Dan Harmon, who...
Okay, well, that made her do like a weird jump at the end.
Who co-created Rick and Morty, created Community, was waifu. So Dan Harmon...
I don't like that weird jump. That feels strange.
I'm going to explain all of this until it makes sense. I swear to your waifu. So Dan Harmon, who... Your waifu.
Oh man, I'm really proving the point of this image right now, but I...
Spiral. I'm going to explain all of this until it makes sense. I swear to your waifu. So Dan Harmon, who...
How do I just... Okay. My problem really is I don't want the first... I don't want this one at all. How do I get rid of that? Is that what the little arrow thing will do for me? Yes. Okay. Did that revert all of it? That reverted all of it. Okay. So this time, we're going to go ahead, now that we know how this works. Start from like here, and then it will end that.
I'm going to explain all of this until it makes sense. I swear to your waifu. So Dan Harmon...
That works. That works. Shit, I press Control Z. No, redo. Okay, I want Control S, not Control Z. Okay, let's check this out and make sure this fucking checks
In
out.
generalization, I think there are two shapes that a story can take. A circle or a spiral. And a spiraling story can either be presented as an inward spiral or an outward spiral. I'm going to explain all of this until it makes sense. I swear to your waifu. So Dan Harmon, who co-created Rick and Morty, created Community, was head writer on both of those shows, he popularized the idea of the story circle as a simplification of the concept of the hero's journey, which was famously conceived by Joseph Campbell in his book, The Hero with a Thousand Faces. Stories...
Perfect. I love it. I love every single fucking second of it. Jesus Christ. That was not an easy one to do, but it's there now. Thank you to everybody who was patient with my autism there. Shall I run this back from the start? It's a minute and a half. It's taken us... How long has it taken us to get a minute and a half into editing this video? 2.5 hours? I want to say I wasn't really editing for the first, 10-15 minutes. But yeah, it's taken us a little over 2 hours to get it a minute and a half. You know, I've taken some breaks to rant, to take a piss, to eat a little snack. But yeah, this is I wouldn't call this making good time, but I wouldn't call it making bad time. This is appropriate amount of time that it should take to edit this amount. Don't you worry, I've been saving a lot. Every time you see that little flash, that's me saving. Alright, let's watch this back, and if anybody has anything they want me to rant about, submit a rant request. Let me know. Before this is, if you submit a rant request before this clip, before we watch it back, then as soon as it's done, I can just jump right into the rant. It'll be sick.
It might seem weird to compare Jujutsu Kaisen against Neon Genesis Evangelion, considering the shows are neither especially similar nor different enough to be considered as something like opposites. They are both action shows that involve the main character having to sort of control some sort of...
what did I do?
Apocalypse.
Oh no, I ruined
like
it.
Opposite.
Hold on. I just want to get rid of this extra... I don't need this, I don't need this window here. I don't need this window. Wow. Get out of there. How do I get rid of the... I just want the preview window to be bigger. Ah, what the fuck ever.
It might seem weird to compare Jujutsu Kaisen against Neon Genesis Evangelion, considering the shows are neither especially similar nor different enough to be considered as something like opposites. They are both action shows that involve the main character having to sort of control some sort of berserk monster in order to maybe prevent the apocalypse, but the similarities basically end there. I am presenting these shows not as opposites in theme or tone or subject matter, but rather in the style of storytelling that each one uses to reveal its world and characters. I don't know if these are necessarily the most perfect examples that I could have used to explain this whole idea. Maybe I could have found shows that seem more instinctively similar or dissimilar in other ways, but hopefully the point of choosing these two shows will become apparent once I start describing the ways in which these stories function. Making an extreme generalization, I think there are two shapes that a story can take: a circle or a spiral. And a spiraling story can either be presented as an inward spiral or an outward spiral. I'm going to explain all of this until it makes sense. I swear to your waifu. So Dan Harmon, who co-created Rick and Morty, created Community, was head writer on both of those shows, he popularized the idea of the story circle as a simplification of the concept of the hero's journey, which was famously conceived by Joseph Campbell in his book, The Hero with a Thousand Faces. Story circles are founded in the historical sense of continued continuity, the idea that every story leads directly into another story, which inevitably hits many of the same beats as the previous story, because there's only so many ways that events can be structured to tell a naturally satisfying story. Circles of different sizes, sometimes with smaller...
What the fuck am I gonna show for that bit? Let's listen to this next sentence again, and you all tell me if you have any clue what you think these next 3 sentences, what should I show for this segment here?
Story circles are founded in the historical sense of continued continuity. The idea that every story leads directly into another story, which inevitably has
JoJo's
the
Bizarre
same
Adventure.
beats as the previous story, because there's only so many ways that events can be structured to tell a naturally satisfying story. Circles of different sizes, sometimes with smaller
JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Ugh. One of those things that just hits you. I gotta go get a Diet Coke. June with 199. Have you watched meme analysis? I don't know if you're referring to something specific or just like generally analysis of memes. You know, there used to be several meme review shows. Anthony Fantano had an amazing meme review show. There was a brief clip of me in the ED of it. The channel? No, I don't know meme analysis. The channel. Let's go look at it. Meme analysis. Since we're actually
Remember,
here at the computer, we can just
memes
watch
matter.
this. Whoa, it's fucking animated. Okay, let's see. Most of these are kind of long. Memes of the week, sure.
Hello, this is Meme Analysis, and today we are taking a look.
Show me the memes.
Nietzsche would not say free will, he would say a strong will, a great will. But this is certainly a type.
This is a meme? Taking a long time to fucking load, god damn it. Why it be like this? Why it do this to me? YouTube, what have you done? What have you done to me? Or is it my computer's fault? Am I trying to do too much? I no longer see anything in my stream window.
Savory, flavorful.
Hey, everything came back. Was I
dishes
dark for a
with this
second
fish.
there?
It is not really.
It's going down for me again. So I didn't go dark. You guys might still be seeing me, but on my end, both this YouTube video and
Really,
me
like,
watching
you're
myself
not
keep
giving
getting
up
interrupted.
And this just reminds me of the way that a lot of religion that believes in like really strict moral rules tends to just find outrageous ways to get around those rules. It's very silly, very funny. Like I very similar to.
Yeah, okay, I get it.
I beg of you. I ask you merely play in the leaves
This is
just
a
for
meme?
a second. When is the last time you played it?
Okay, I'm having trouble finding memes I've ever seen or heard of on this channel to be intrigued with. Sisyphus memes.
Let's dig in. So to start, let's take a look at the basic structure of these kinds of see something impossible. I just saw one the other day of a cat.
Okay, he analyzes memes. I get it. I can't say I'm particularly interested in this content. It kind of seems slow. Kind of seems a little boring for me. Do I ever watch videos in 2x speed? Yes, all the time. But typically I just stick to channels that I am very engaged with because they talk loud and fast. I'll watch so much Finn McKenty just because he's so fucking loud. June with $4.99. Thank you very much. When will you read philosophy and maybe psych to get rid of redundant thoughts other people have already come up with? Never. That's not something you can do. Why would I even bother? Wait, do you think I'm trying to have fewer redundant statements? I have to stream for 9 hours a day to make a real living. I'm trying to say the same shit over and over and over. If I read philosophy and psychology, I would just parrot every single thing I heard from it back to you. I would read all of it back into the camera. First of all, I'd live stream myself reading it, and then I'd talk about it constantly, push my conversation further. But with whom, though? I only talk to the internet. I don't see an incentive to do something like that. It doesn't sound interesting. Like, read books to sound smart? That sounds the opposite of smart to me. Yeah, I've come up with those great ideas without having to read anything, though, you see? That's what's so great about it. I really don't need so much of the audio. There we go. Okay. Customizing my deck here. I don't have the patience to read anything. Like, you know, if you could find me an engaging video about the things or whatever, about whatever subject you want, where they summarize it simply, but, like, have you ever tried reading philosophy? Fucking... Oh, see, it's... AI is already trying to explain it to me without me reading it. But let's... How do I actually read the actual thing? God damn it. Just give me a fucking... I know this is all public domain. Just give me a goddamn link to the thing he wrote. Yeah, sure. This seems to be Hegel. Right. Oh, it just skips to page 117. That's fucking helpful for me understanding what's going on. I'm sure I'll know exactly what he's talking about on page 107 fucking teen. All I can find is people explaining what it is and not even the actual writing. Is there a collection here somewhere where I can actually read this shit? Mature works. Here we go. The phenomenology of the spirit. That sounds difficult. Perception, thing, and deceptiveness. Oh, this starts with translator's comments. Wait, it's all translator's comments. Oh, no, that it goes... Okay, here we go. The notion of a thing. I mean, already the first three words. The this, then. The this, comma, then. The this, then. The this, then, is established as not this, or as superseded, and yet not nothing, simpliciter, but a determinate nothing, a nothing with a certain content, viz. The this, or viz, I don't even know what viz as an abbreviation means. I do not want viz media. I had a feeling that was going to come up. As follows. Okay, so it's like vis-a-vis. It's just short for vis-a-vis. The sense element is in this way itself still present, but not in the form of some particular that is meant, as had to be the case in immediate certainty, but as a universal, as that which will have the character of the property. Canceling, superseding, brings out and lays bare its true twofold meaning, which we found contained in the negative. To supersede is at once to negate and to preserve. The nothing being a negation of the this preserves immediacy in itself sensuous, but a universal immediacy. I have no fucking idea what I'm reading. Does any of this make any fucking sense to anybody? this is when I think philosophy, like when people tell me read philosophy, I think the this then. Like, is that what I'm reading? The abstract universal medium, which we can call thinghood? It doesn't sound that far off from stuff that words I would use, like word choices I would make. But it's so metaphorical. The abstract universal medium, which we can call thinghood in general or pure essential reality, is nothing else than the here and now, as this on analysis turned out to be a simple togetherness of many heres and nows. See, it's all just a simple togetherness of many heres and nows. But the many, in the present case, are in their determinateness themselves simply universals. This salt is a simple here, and at the same time manifold. It is white and also pungent, also cubical in shape, also of a specific weight, and so on. All these many properties exist in a simple here, where they are interpenetrate each other. I didn't know that was a word. None of these has a different here from the others. Each is everywhere in the same here where the others are, and at the same time, without being divided by different heres, they do not affect each other in their interpretation. It being white does not affect or alter the cubical shape it has, and neither affects its tart taste, and so on. On the contrary, since each is simple relation to self, it leaves the others alone and is related to these merely by being... It just sounds like he's saying stuff is different from stuff. Like, two things aren't the same. Two properties a thing has, they don't inherently, like, is this not obvious common fucking sense? Do you need to break that down in 7 billion giant words? Why was this required for me to understand that a thing being white and pointy doesn't mean that the whiteness is inherently of the pointiness? Like, there was definitely an easier way to say that. I just did it. Sweet Lime Juice with $4.99 says, can you rant about the evolution of Madhouse and the birth of Mappa? Sure, we could do that. Let's go over to Madhouse Wikipedia so we can get that list of works in order. And I can comment on it through that because that'll be easy. Alright. So Madhouse, well, you know, you can get all the information about what they are here, but in the 70s and 80s, they were basically making, like, Laputia, why did you get banned? I have no idea. You got banned? When? How? Were you, like, temp banned or something? It's possible me, like, clicking like on one of your comments fucking made a change. I have no idea. I don't know how that happened. Sorry to hear it. That's very strange. Anyway, about Madhouse and Mappa. Like, when I think of old school Madhouse, I mean, this is all their television stuff, which is, there's not nearly as much as they would become known for in, you know, the 2000s, but I think of them for film. I think of all the crazy artsy shit, because most of the people who were the founders of Madhouse were all, like, just incredibly artsy visual directors. So you had Rintaro, who was kind of like the guy who'd been doing it the longest, like one of the very first, like, really auteur styled anime directors. You know, even before he was working for Madhouse, the other guys, other big animators there were kind of like protege of him to a degree, like Kawajiri. And so, like, you very much, the studio, I feel like, was defined in the early days by the style of Rintaro, Kawajiri, and, you know, every other director, fucking Mori Masaki, who did a few movies in the late 70s, early 80s before basically just disappearing from the industry entirely. Or I guess it was Natsue no Tobira, right? I think this was his first one, then Haregumo, Barefoot Gen, and Toki no Tabibito Time Stranger. He directed all 4 of those, so a lot of the early stuff was just Mori Masaki, who then completely abandoned anime after that. And then, you know, you had I also really like Unico. I thought this was a Sanrio production. Is it like a co-production, or am I just wrong? I guess it was just Madhouse. I don't know why I thought that Unico was a... Maybe I'm thinking of something similar. I'm probably thinking of Ringing Bell. But I thought they had both been. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. You know, you got Lensman as the start of Kawajiri's career. Daiger of Kamui is Rintaro. You know, both of them worked on Phoenix. So yeah, it's just like these artsy directors doing their artsy ideas. And then on the TV front, you've got Osamu Dezaki doing most of the great work. So, you know, Aim for the Ace, fucking Treasure Island. And then in the 90s, they started making this shift where I'm guessing just because of the economic crash and the lack of money going into anime, and especially like high budget anime after 1990, they probably just could not afford to make those giant movies all the time. Or maybe they just spent so much fucking time dedicated to Ninja Scroll and X that's all they could work on in memories, you know. But these are like the most classic. Like, these are the movies that really put Madhouse on the map internationally. You know, Ninja Scroll, easily the biggest thing that wasn't a co-production they had done so far. And Wicked City was a big deal too, but Ninja Scroll was huge. You know, I grew up with X. This was one of my favorite movies that I got into early into anime, directed by Rintaro once again. So yeah, like, again, for the first couple decades, it really is just like these few art house directors that really do amazing work, and then some TV shows that are kind of cool. Late 90s, they started getting a little bit more towards, I mean, they started doing, towards the end of the 80s, adaptations of Naoki Urasawa work, starting with Yawara. Of course, they would later do Monster. So there's a lot of... Like, Madhouse is pretty well defined by basically being, up to a certain point, whoever Masao Maruyama was co-signing, basically. It's like he's the lead producer and studio president. Basically, like, whatever talents he approved, whoever he wanted to give a show to, you know, like, is kind of who is getting a show with Madhouse, these teams he's putting together. But then as we carry into the 2000s, and some of these are kind of mislabeled, like, Madhouse didn't do all of Boogie Pop Phantom, did they? Madhouse did Boogie Pop Phantom? I didn't know this. I guess I'm wrong again. I thought that was like a Triangle Staff or something. Weird. Yeah, they did a lot of like somewhat lower budget but still very artsy and cool like animated TV shows, like I guess Boogie Pop Phantom. You know, and then Hajime no Ippo is like another case of just Masao Maruyama loves this manga and was like, we will adapt it forever. In general, Maruyama said that he did not like to take on the same show twice. So like if they did a manga adaptation, they usually didn't want to pick it back up, which is why they would make up endings for stuff like Claymore, but people eventually really hated that, so they stopped doing it. But yeah, the 2000s, they started doing way more manga adaptations, but like anything they did was going to be way more interesting than anyone else's adaptation, you know? They're the only team that could ever do Clamp right, you know, from Cardcaptor Sakura onwards. They're like, every other animation studio gets crazy inconsistent when they try to draw Clamp character designs, but for some reason, Madhouse knows how to do it. And then around here, this is when they really fucked themselves, where they just started making way too much shit. And like, I think Death Note being such a massive success probably made them think they could do anything, I guess. But I mean, just look at this. Like, Claymore was... So Tokyo Tribe 2 flopped. Claymore was a little bit of a hit. Oh, Edo Rocket flopped. Princess Resurrection flopped. Den-O Coil flopped, even though it's a classic show. Devil May Cry sucked. Shigurui flopped, even though it's great. Kaiji was somewhat successful. They made 2 seasons of it. And it's very good. Neuro flopped, even though I like it. Moke flopped. I don't even remember this Maple Story anime. What is this text I'm getting? Hey, Bird's on his way home. I'm probably not going to stream for too much longer then. But I'll get to that La Pusha super chat before I do wrap it up. But yeah, like, this was the era where I just remember, like, being confused as to how it was possible that they were, like, how could they be doing all these shows? Because, like, a lot of them were high quality. And I remember this season where it was, like, Kaiba, then Kashurn Sins, Kurozuka, Morio no Haka, which both of those were flops. Kashurn Sins was borderline a flop, you know, like, this is where they died. This is where it became untenable. Ride Back was a flop. Soten Koro was a flop. Needless was like a mild success. Kobato, mild success. Aoi Bungaku, kind of a flop. Rainbow, a flop. All these are great. These are great anime. Flop, 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 flop. Flop City all the way through. And then Maruyama retires from Madhouse around here. So they change ownership, and this is where the whole tone of the studio kind of changes, where they're not really trying to do, like, experimental weird stuff per se. The quality is still there. They're still doing, like, the highest quality, best looking adaptations, but they're doing much more normal stuff, you know, where they're just trying to do, like, really good sports anime, like Chihaya Furu, or you know, they continued Hajime no Ippo because that's one of their big successes, but they started doing stuff like Irregular at Magic High School, like generic light novel adaptations, moe shows like Hana Yamata. It's just kind of like you couldn't count on it to be like the weirdest stuff on TV anymore, necessarily. But they still have, you know, they got One Punch Man Season 1, which looked crazy. A lot of that's because how many Bones animators were on it. But I don't know, that most of this is stuff that I don't like nearly as much as the stuff that came before. I can't stand Overlord. I didn't like Akka. I didn't like A Place Further in the Universe. I didn't like Akko's Inn was pretty good. I didn't like the Boogie Pop and Others adaptation. Maybe that's why I'm so shocked that they did Boogie Pop Phantom, because they took such a different approach. But it's almost none of the same people, I would imagine, at this point. I haven't seen Sunny Boy yet, but everybody recommends that to me. Talked Up Destiny fucking sucked, though. As for Mappa, that's where Maruyama went when he left Madhouse. And it's kind of a similar trajectory where, like, initially they're doing more interesting, weird, you know, Kids on the Slope, bringing back, you know, Shinichiro Watanabe. Take Q was awesome. They continued Hajime no Ippo. Rage of Bahamut was an interesting series. Garo was interesting. Punchline was interesting. Not necessarily good, a lot of these. Not necessarily big successes. But then Yuri on Ice was a huge success. And then around here, Maruyama's health was not good enough to continue with the studio. And it's already succeeding enough that he just kind of lets them do their own thing. And since then, it's been... like, they've been the place you can count on to have really high-quality animation, not unlike Madhouse before them. But apparently the working environment has not been the greatest. And Masao Maruyama went on to create another studio called Maps. Where do I find a link to this? God damn it. Oh no, I'm thinking of M2. I think it just literally stands for Maruyama 2. Okay, how did that land me? Okay, here we go. Anime News Network has them. They haven't made a lot. They did whatever the fuck Muffinda is. I've not even heard of this. It looks kind of cool. Onihei, I remember when that came out. They did Pluto, which Bird loved, and I still haven't seen it yet. And another Garo thing. So yeah, it's been like a sort of a slower studio, I guess, just to do whatever passion projects Maruyama's had. I assume he's still... well, I assume he's probably retired by now. The Pusha with Australian $5 says, look up Secret of Kells and use the Ouroboros scene or Eye of Crom for the circle story section of your video. Okay. Look into that. Oh, and Bird told me I don't need to wrap up the stream just because he's on his way home. But maybe I want to hang out with Bird though. Let's go find this fucking tree. Or Secret of Kells, not Tree of Palm. I always get those two confused in my head. Wait, is Secret of Kells anime? Is this one of those fucking Chinese fucking things, as that guy very mistakenly referred to them that time in the fucking Academy Awards? What is it? Eye of Crom. It's the same clip. I just want it not looking like shit. That looks better. You said use this for the story circle section. Okay, let's find the circle we want. It's a trip. I'm not seeing any circles though. I'm seeing a lot of squares. Oh, you want that eye shot, maybe? Yeah, is this the circle you had in mind? Circle. What do I actually say at this next part of the video?
Which was famously conceived by Joseph Campbell in his book The Hero with a Thousand Faces. Story circles are founded in the historical sense of continued continuity, the idea that every story leads directly into another story, which...
Yeah, I know about it being Irish, but there's the year that this was nominated for an Academy Award, there is like a bunch of quotes pulled from people who vote for the Academy, just being hyper dismissive of the animation category and being like, yeah, I voted for Frozen because my kids saw it or whatever. And there's one guy who's said, well, I'm certainly not voting for those fucking Chinese fucking things. And it's like one of what he's referring to was either Secret of Kells or the other one from that studio, and the other of what he was referring to was The Tale of Princess Kaguya. So neither of them Chinese, but you know, a very pleasant little racist take from that voter of the Academy.
Story circles are founded in the historical sense.
See, I do think I think it's a good choice because it looks historical, and I'm saying the word historical, so I think this will fly. It's got that mythology feel to it that fits what I'm saying very well. Yes, indeed, fuck the Oscars. Although they did give Miyazaki another Oscar, I believe, this year. Although he didn't even show up to take it, because, you know, fuck does he give a shit. Y'all hear about that they sent Goro Miyazaki to like pick up the Palme d'Or or whatever at like Cannes, and fucking he said something to the effect of that like his life will get much easier once his dad and producer Toshio Suzuki are dead. I don't know if this is real, but I've seen people circulating this quote, and I'm like, that's fucking hilarious.
Story circles are founded in the historical sense of continued continuity, the idea that every story leads directly into another story.
Okay. Actually, yeah, let's take a little more. I like the idea of him looking at the circle, too.
With a thousand faces. Story circles are founded in the historical sense of continued continuity, the idea that every story leads directly into another story.
Perfect. Alright, so what story are we going to lead into? What are we going to match cut that circle into? We need another circle to lead from this circle into
Writer on both of those shows, he popularized the idea of the story circle as a simplification of the concept of the hero's journey, which was famously conceived by Joseph Campbell in his book The Hero with a Thousand Faces. Story circles are founded in the historical sense of continued continuity, the idea that every story leads directly into another story, which inevitably hits many.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you for that. That's actually a really good suggestion, and I never would have come up with it because I've never seen the movie. By the way, I keep moving this thing around because I keep kicking it underneath me. There's just like this massive fucking like cat statue thing underneath this desk. Made in Thailand. It's cute. And the reason I keep kicking it is that I am wearing these Mickey Mouse slippers that have an enormous Mickey Mouse face on them. My uncle wanted these for Christmas, but then because he's an alcoholic, he couldn't stop tripping over them, so gave them back to me. I agree this stream is a great idea because legitimately I've been not able to figure out what I was going to put in this fucking video. Like, aside from this part where I knew Dan Harmon could explain the story circle on screen, I was just like, how am I going to visualize the story spirals and like all this abstract information? And again, I know it's the kind of thing where if you just beat your head against it, you'll figure it out, but it takes an amount of courage and encouragement. And I think so far it looks really strong. This is coming together as well as I could have hoped. So I'm happy about it. The suggestions are helping a lot. I really was like, I've maybe once ever before like done an editing live stream, and like I was always nervous about people, I don't know, judging my process or something, or just the fact that historically I do tend to like take a lot of breaks. But then when I thought about the fact that if I'm trying to do like a live stream where I talk to the audience and do super chats, I want there to be a lot of breaks. And so, you know, I get tired of talking, I go to the editing, I get tired of editing, I go to the talking, and it works out pretty well. It's a good balance. It's slow. You know, we've only made it 1 minute and 40 seconds into the edit. But the early part of the video is the most complicated by far. Like, there is a substantial amount of this where I know exactly what I'm going to show. There's a reason I have such specific hand-broken anime episodes, because I know what episodes I'm going to be showing. So once we're just describing the plots of Gurren Lagann and Jujutsu Kaisen and Evangelion, which I have to handbrake before we do the next edit stream, it'll be a lot easier. The rest of this will not be as complicated as this first couple of minutes is, but yeah, it'll still take, the video is 15 minutes long, so we've done 1 minute 40 or so out of 15-12. By the way, weirdest thing about DaVinci Resolve, you notice how there's a 1 at the start? Like, for no reason, like as if to imply that we're at 1 hour. But when we get to the next hour, that will change to a 2. So it's like you're in hour 1 as opposed to you're 1 hour in. I don't know why they did that. You're excited to hear how Lateralis ties into this? Well,
In these lyrics, singer Maynard James Keenan compares the human experience to the outward spiral of the Fibonacci sequence, because we all begin with a very limited ability to perceive reality, which expands as we grow in a literal, physical, and mental sense. The lyrics continue into a mantra when Keenan seems to be shouting at himself to spiral out, keep going, because reaching for the random or whatever will bewilder me, following my will and whim, I may just go where no one's been. Spiral out, keep going. I have always taken this song as a matter of personal ethos. Now, when I talk about spirals in storytelling, Gurren Lagann is the anime.
yeah, so I basically use the Tool song as my explanation of the concept of spiraling outward and like being on a Fibonacci spiral path as a person, and then, you know, explaining how a story can do that too. For that whole segment, I'm probably just going to use that classic video of, the explanation of the Fibonacci sequence in Tool. Oh, now there's a bunch of videos, of course. What is this one? Yeah, this is not the one I want. I want the classic one where it's like space, like Hubble scope. Yeah, there we go. This is the one. We can't really play this song. Read the sounds and open wide, do suck it in, I feel it move across my skin. I'm reaching up and reaching out, I'm reaching for the random or whatever will bewilder me, whatever will bewilder me, and following my will. And when we may just go where no one's been, we'll ride the spiral to the end, and may just go where no one's been. Spiral out, keep going. I can't be this loud anymore.
Story, which inevitably hits many of the same beats as the previous story, because there's only so many ways that events can be structured to tell a naturally satisfying story.
Okay. What's something that communicates a feeling of inevitability and destiny? Kung Fu Panda appeared in my head, but I don't remember if there's this strong circular imagery besides like the jade plate. What's something that kind of looks like this, though? Like, what's the vibe here? It almost reminds me of Princess Celestia coming to Twilight to make her princess, except that was all squares instead of circles. Or else I would definitely use that. But I need some good circles. What about... This is going to be a weird choice. But I might go with it. The clip you sent me on Twitter just now... Alright, Landon, alright, this is an incognito browser. Let me go over to my other browser. Clip you sent me on Twitter. If you clip want, send me on Twitter. Okay, you sent me a clip of everyone dying in Ideon, which could probably be used in this video, but not for this segment. But I do think it will end up being in the video, possibly. Okay, let me go look for what I was thinking, which is... Anybody remember in Beast Wars, they were all fighting over these fucking golden discs?
Come forward.
What is going on here? This looks like a static image. Just show me... Yeah, this looks like it should be the correct clip.
Seemingly insignificant scrap of metal made by a small, frail species hardly worth mentioning. And yet,
I wonder
this
if I can
object
find this
holds the
in less
key to the
ass of
conquest
quality.
the-
All golden disc scenes. That sounds helpful. Yes. Megatron and Pegasus from Yu-Gi-Oh! Are like the same fucking dude. Megatron from Beast Wars, anyway. Pegasus is just a somewhat more flamboyant version. Okay. This is how you know that nothing ever leaves my brain is that I can even fucking remember this shit, because I don't think I've rewatched any Golden Disc episodes of Beast Wars since I was 5, but I remember this shit mattering a lot when Dinobot was all about these fucking gold discs.
Continued continuity. The idea that every story leads directly into another story, which inevitably hits many of the same beats as the previous story, because there's only so many ways that events can be structured to tell a naturally satisfying story. Circles of different sizes,
I love that.
structured to tell a naturally satisfying story. So
Yeah, that works for me. That works. Just the fact that it looks like Dinobot is saying exactly what I'm saying makes it really funny. And also, I don't think I've ever worked Dinobot in Meg, Mog, and Owl. This art style is familiar to me. I think I've seen, I have this one like magazine that's a collection of a bunch of like one-shot comics, and I think this person maybe contributed something to it. The art style looks very familiar. Alright, let's see. Comic series from 2008. Okay, it's a parody of a kids series. Sure, where do I go to read it though? Can I just read it online? Is it a webcomic? All I'm getting is links to places to purchase this thing. I just want to steal it. Here we go. No, this is Mega Hex. Oh, it's the same thing. Okay, I guess. Mega Hex full. Is this the correct thing? Am I in the right place? Bridge closure at 9:45 p.m. is crazy. That is indeed insane. So I guess Bird's gonna be a little late. Alright, what is this about? Wait, I think I've seen this book in the store actually. I think I might have flipped through this once because this looks a little familiar. Yeah, this seems pretty dank. I give it the seal of approval. Hello? I heard a knock at the door, but nobody said anything or moved or did anything. Yes, I am in here. Yeah. No, I'm not in the bathroom. Oh boy. Alright. We did our Beast Wars edit.
bases. Story circles are founded in the historical sense of continued continuity, the idea that every story leads directly into another story, which inevitably hits many of the same beats as the previous story, because there's only so many ways that events can be structured to tell a naturally satisfying story. Circles of different sizes, sometimes with smaller circles inside of them, can be drawn around segments of larger stories to show the patterns of...
Oh, this is the part I was the most afraid of, because I know the best way to do this bit is to draw a graphic. Where... Because what I'm trying to explain is that inside of an episode that is a story circle, there are smaller circles, and sometimes that circles are combined, or like there's a circles within I feel like I gotta draw a circle chart to make sense of this. I'm going to save that for next time. I'm going to go ahead and say between this and the next time I do an edit stream, I will go ahead and create my circles within circles graphics. But I'm not going to do that right now because I'm exhausted. I'm going to end this stream very soon. So if nobody has any more super chat rant requests left, this is going to be the end. I'll just play back the whole thing again for the hell of it. While I wait,
It might seem weird to compare Jujutsu Kaisen against Neon Genesis Evangelion, considering the shows are neither especially similar nor different enough to be considered as something like opposites. They are both action shows that involve the main
Maharaga
character having to
Circle,
sort
rah.
of control some sort of berserk monster in order to maybe prevent the apocalypse, but the similarities basically end there. I am presenting these shows not as opposites in theme or tone or subject matter, but rather in the style of storytelling that each one uses to reveal its world and characters. I don't know if these are necessarily the most perfect examples that I could have used to explain this whole idea. Maybe I could have found shows that seem more instinctively similar or dissimilar in other ways, but hopefully the point of choosing these two shows will become apparent once I start describing the ways in which these stories function. Making an extreme generalization, I think there are two shapes that a story can take: a circle or a spiral. And a spiraling story can either be presented as an inward spiral or an outward
there's
spiral.
something about the letter N showing up on screen right as I say the word inward that can't help but make me think that I'm saying N-word. And it keeps cracking me up.
Inward spiral or an outward spiral. I'm going to explain all of this until it makes sense. I swear to your waifu. So Dan Harmon, who co-created Rick and Morty, created Community, was head writer on both of those shows, he popularized the idea of the story circle as a simplification of the concept of the hero's journey, which was famously conceived by Joseph Campbell in his book The Hero with a Thousand Faces. Story circles are founded in the historical sense of continued continuity, the idea that every story leads directly into another story, which inevitably hits many of the same beats as the previous story, because there's only so many ways that events can be structured to tell a naturally satisfying story. Circles of different sizes.
Brilliant. Alright, enough of this for tonight. We are done with DaVinci Resolve. We are done with Desktop Folder. We are done with my notes on Nino's book and this empty TXT file. We are done with Beast Wars All Golden Disc Scenes, an online video converter, and very soon we'll be done with this stream. Goodbye, everybody. It's been great.